did it work? Yes, it did. Unfortunately, I did not move my camera away from the book because it's a huge pain in the ass to do so. Hi, how are you? Hope you're doing good. Um, I've been internally, I've been internally cooking up my Halloween costume because it needs to eat. It needs to be better than anything I've created before. And I have had one like picked out a year in advance twice now. Oops, I forgot to exit out. Break Your Heart by Tayo Cruz is not in fact playing right now. Um but anyway, I am simply insane and had the mummy idea figured out. Honestly, before last Halloween, I was like, I should be a mummy at some point. This is fucking genius. But I already had the Frankenstein idea figured out. And honestly, I want a redo of the Frankenstein fit because I know in my heart of hearts I could do better. Let me fix chat. I didn't realize it was so fucking ugly. But I know I could do better. It was mediocre. I was super depressed. I must simply rise above. And to be fair, I did show up to work in the outfit, which is more than I had done previously. Because in the past, I was like, oh, what if nobody else dresses up? I actually did not care last year. We are always up, we are never down. Exactly. But I want to redo. Unfortunately, I won't. What was I talking about? Oh, my redo. I won't be doing it next year because I don't want to. I think next year, not this coming up year, obviously, but 2027. At that point, I will be intern teaching, so I'll have to tread carefully. It depends on if well, I'll still dress up, obviously, but I'll have to, like, ask if it's cool if I go really crazy. You know what I'm saying? If it's, like, up to code, or whatever. Like, that'll be something that I'll need to worry about. But a wizard, like a very like classical wizard, perhaps with a crystal orb of some kind and a really cool beard, I feel like could be huge. That one would be so fucking fun. And then I would have that costume forever. You know what I mean? And I don't even think it would be that difficult. Honestly, all I would need would be like I would need to sew like a robe and then I'd like applique suns and moon I'm sorry, stars and moons onto it and then make the fuck ass hat. And then I'd have to make a beard and then that would be kind of it. And it would be really good. That would be a really fun one. I'll have to think about it. But um anyway, Mummy is next year for sure. Um I let's get in here. Let's start reading. You can now see. How exciting is that? Sorry that angle is worse than it was originally, but I'm not moving my camera because this time I have it plugged in. You can still read it, but it's just a little funkier than it was before. Not a huge deal. I am going to read slower today, to everyone's misfortune, because that means we will finish less. But that's okay. I want you all to understand it and really digest what we're consuming here. That is very important to me. And also I would like to consume it. Because I was also not really listening to certain bits because I was reading so fast. Which is funny because I'm the one who's reading it out loud, but there were certain bits that I was just like, I'm bored, and then I was just kind of reading really fast. So we are reading slower today, and it'll be more comprehensible. So yeah, it'll be great. Okay. Let's jump in. Oh yeah! I totally forgot. We were unlocking the deeper lores. Oh my god, I'm so fucking excited. Okay, here we go. The Devanes clan were reputed to have certain psychic talents that got them in trouble at the time of the Spanish Inquisition. It appears they passed on those gifts to their descendants. They fled Spain, and naturally, over the centuries, the family became splintered and moved from country to country. Most of them had no knowledge of the family origins. He shrugged. Which can be, but who the fuck are we talking to? We're talking to Dantlo, or like Mandic and Dantlo and I are talking, or oh no, it's Sean. Okay. Yeah, I really did not comprehend a lot of it yesterday. LMAO. So Allie is talking to Sean, the weird Irish guy. So the weird Irish guy is the one who is just talking. Which can be bewildering when you have a... My landline is ringing. But there's only one person who has the number. And I know his ass ain't calling. I'm not picking that up. Do I want to a little bit? Yes, I do. Anyway, it's over. It did that sometimes. It was State Farm? Yeah, I did see 3 missed calls on the little page, but yeah, that makes sense. Very unfortunate. I for some reason, the landline is very sacred to me, and I'm being very picky and choosy about who I give the number to. Which is unfortunate because it has led to its disuse. But that's okay. That is an emotional problem to unpack another day. Let's get back in. Which can be bewildering when you have a weird talent and no background and no one to teach you what to do with it. I speak from experience. I would have ended up in prison or dead if they hadn't sent Mandic to find me. Who is they? The core Devanes family, kept to ancient tradition, and made it their obligation to seek out those individuals and try to save or stabilize them. It's become a rule and custom that can't be broken. Okay, I'm gonna look at it really quick. I don't know why I thought I recognized the number. I don't know any phone numbers beside my mummy's phone number. Not even my dad's. Don't ask me my dad's phone number. I don't know that shit. And it's funny because it starts with the same chunk. Like, your phone number is the only one that doesn't have the same beginning chunk. Actually, no, I'm good with phone numbers. It's freaky. Same with Wi-Fi passwords for some reason. I wish I were better about it, but it's like where you are good at remembering things like that, I have navigational skills. Like if I'd go someplace one time and I'm like, yep, I can get there again if I needed to. If it's like daytime and I go, then I could go. But if it's like nighttime when I go and it's daytime when I need to go again, you know what I mean? Like, because then nothing looks familiar. But in general, directionally, I'm pretty good. Phone numbers? Just, psh. Get out of here. Anyway, family. Allie repeated distastefully. I knew that would bother you. He held up a hand. Nothing criminal. He thought about it. Well, sometimes there have been cases of criminality, but usually they can be straightened out by a searcher like Mandic. I was pretty close to the edge when Mandic found me. She was now completely bewildered. Searcher? What the hell are you talking about? Searching for what? He grimaced. The lost ones. You'd call them freaks. I'd call them members of the Devanas family who have certain unusual gifts and don't know how to handle them. Many of them don't even know they're members of the Devanas family. It's Mandic's job to find them, stabilize them, and civilize them. Stabilize and civilize them. He's able to adjust their attitudes and heal psychic disorders. This is crazy, she said harshly. I'm supposed to believe all this? It's up to you. He tilted his head. But if you believe in freaks, I'd think you'd be able to take it one step farther. It's a damn big step. You're telling me about a whole world dotted with freaks and an equally weird family trying to take care of all of them. Hey, you read memories. That's pretty damn strange in itself. May I suggest you just ride with it? I'm kind of with him on this one. You literally can't be upset about this because you can read people's minds, kind of. Like, I fear you need to get with the program. She was thinking, Searcher, was Mandic looking... Am I supposed to be a member of this Devana's family? You'll have to ask him. I don't believe you are, but he's never told me one way or the other. He paused. He may have heard about you and decided he needed you whether or not you were family. I know that he had a problem that he had to solve. What kind of... She stopped as he shook his head. He wasn't going to answer that question. You said that I wasn't the first or the last. Mandic has brought other people to this place? He nodded. Mandic is a searcher. You've been tops on his agenda, but it's been 7 years, and he wouldn't just wait around and twiddle his thumbs. He's kept himself very busy during those years. He wrinkled his nose, and it wasn't easy. Some of those people were half mad, some bitter against the world, some only victims but having to be taught. And you helped him? I gave him a place and a little protection. After that, it was up to him. I wanted to enjoy my life. Why do anything at all? He smiled. Because during the time when Mandic was bringing me through my own personal hell, I developed a bond with him. He nodded as he saw her stiffen. You too? It's not uncommon, especially when he has to go deep. It took me a while to accept it. Sometimes I resented him. Sometimes I liked him. He met her eyes. Sometimes I worshipped him. Gay alert? You? It's a shock to me, too. You're right. My entire easygoing personality flinches at the idea, he added, but it's easier to try and work it out than do without Mandic. I don't agree. That's your privilege. I'm only sharing my experiences. He got to his feet. Now, if you're through questioning me, I'll leave you alone to absorb my words of wisdom. He gazed at her inquiringly. I'm dismissed? She nodded slowly. Since you won't tell me anything else I need to know. When can I see Mandic again? Whenever you wish. He said he had arrangements to make, but I know he'll come when you call him. I could send him to you now. She thought about it. No, her mind was whirling, and she was trying to weigh truth against fairy tale. She needed time to come to terms with what Sean had told her. I'll call him. I'll let him know. He hesitated. I know all this has been rough on you. If you need me, I'll be in my study. I know you and Mandic have issues. If you just want to talk or have someone to hold on to, I'm volunteering. She was surprised. She could tell the offer was genuine. Thank you. I don't believe that was a part of your instructions from Mandic. Nah, that was all me. I just get a little soft now and then. He turned toward the door. Good luck, Allie. The door shut behind him. Good luck. She might need that good luck. The earth was spinning and turning upside down. She had lost the only two people in the world that she loved. Mandic was looming, lurking in the darkness ahead. Close him out. The only things that were important were the death of Lee and Natalie and deciding what to do about them. She leaned back in her chair as she felt the tears sting her eyes again. She'd stay here and let the agony come, then pass. Perhaps in the midst of that terrible sadness, she'd find the answer. Low-key enjoying Sean. Love that guy. He was like, if you need someone to hang out with, let me know. And I appreciate that. Thanks, buddy. Chapter 8. You've been crying again. Ugh, Mandic is back. Gross. Get this guy out of here. Mandic said as soon as she opened the door for him 4 hours later. So what? Allie said as she stepped aside for him to enter. I'm sorry if you're disappointed that your 2 days of handling my sorrow didn't quite do the job. It still hurts. It will always hurt. I knew that. I was only trying to keep you from falling apart. You've actually done better than I hoped. Yes, I'm sure you'd think it would be a terrible waste if I fell apart. That it would, he said bluntly. For you, for me, and for Lee and Natalie. You sent for me. Why am I here? To fill in the blanks, you put a muzzle on Sean Donoval. She moved toward the window and drew back the drape to look down at the strip. Oh yeah, I forgot we're in Vegas. Slay. And everything he did tell me was crazy and absurd and hard to fathom. But true. You'll have to convince me. I'm not sure I can. You have built-in resistance. You may have to learn as you go. But I have no intention of going anywhere. She let the drape fall and turned back to face him. Yet. But you've left the possibility open. His gaze was narrowed on her face. I thought you might. You've been playing this game with me for years, guiding me like your puppet, never telling me anything. That ends right now, Mandic. Her tone was hard. I'm not going to stumble around blind any longer. You've offered me revenge for Lee and Natalie. Do I want it? You bet I do. But I don't know if they'd want me to serve it up the way you've planned. Probably not. Because they wouldn't want revenge for themselves. They want it for Simon and the children. He paused. But I want it for them. And I can have Kamano. And I can have Prowland. I just have to work it right. Prowland? Nelson Prowland. Scumbag, monster, and your particular target. Bullshit. I have no target. And I won't be handed one by you. She paused. But I could be handed one by Lee and Natalie. Simon. Tell me about Simon. How did he die? He was butchered by Nelson Prowland. Simon was a social worker. No way. One of the kindest people, possibly, on the fucking planet. That's good. Who was sent over to Tanzania by the State Department to help try and track down children who had been kidnapped and sold into slavery by a band of criminals. Prowland was second in command to Molino, a scumbag who dealt with local bandits as well as mafia families in Europe and the US. Everything was on the table with them: vice, assassinations, and the kidnapping and selling of children. The latter was particularly profitable in Africa, since many men there believed breaking a virgin could cure AIDS. Filth. Without a doubt. So did Simon find the children? A few, but the buyers hid most of them away in small tribal villages in the jungle. Only Prowland knew where they could be found. What about this Molino? You said Prowland was his second in command. We managed to take Molino out. We found some documents and records on his property that we thought would help in finding the children. He shook his head, but Prowland had already taken over the operation, and they didn't do us any good. Why the fuck did we add Molino at all if we already took care of him before the events of the book started? Like, what? Okay, thank you. I love adding extra characters for no fucking reason. Good stuff. We've been searching for those children for years. The biggest percentage of them were little girls. A good many have probably grown into their teens and been married off or sold into whorehouses by now. His lips twisted. But they've been replaced by an entire flood of new kidnapped children during these last years. Prowland has been very busy. How did Prowland catch Simon Wahlberg? Simon was obsessed with locating the children. He wouldn't give up. He got too close, and Prowland pounced. He added grimly. He was an easy target. Simon was no fighter. He was in the Peace Corps after he graduated from college. Then he worked with UNESCO. Lee and Natalie were very proud of him. Allie remembered that night when Natalie had spoken of her son. I know they love him very much. He was everything to them. He paused, then said bluntly, Prowland tortured Simon, then cut him into pieces. He called Simon's parents and told him that he laughed, then walked away after he'd done it. It nearly destroyed them. Couldn't the government do anything about Prowland? Simon was a U.S. citizen. Prowland had money, contacts, and corruption was rampant in Africa. Very difficult to fight. I watched the Wahlbergs battle against the system, but I knew it would be futile. They even tried to go after Prowland themselves, but the CIA scooped them up and sent them home. You let the CIA do it? Couldn't you help them? Not at the time. I was occupied with something else. And Lee and Natalie weren't important enough for you to bother. Not fair, he said sharply. I just couldn't put them first on the list. Why not? Because I just found out that Prowland had managed to steal something that made everything else he'd done pale in comparison. He held up his hand as she opened her lips to speak. I'll tell you. Give me a chance. He pushed her down in the chair. I told Sean to tell you about the Devanas family. Did you believe him? No. Yes. I'm not certain. The entire story is crazy. But then so is a woman who can read... We can't be having this conversation twice. You can't be making the same point twice. I agree with you, but shut the fuck up. But then, so is a woman who can read memories and a man who has his own particular brand of strangeness. Sean said something like that. I hate to be repetitive, so I'll skip trying to convince you. He told you about the ledger? No. What ledger? Done it as fucking nothing happens. I know, it's so funny. It's just like, let's talk for a while. And then we had like one page where murders happened, and then we didn't even participate. Like, we had the ability to fight off these people. We've been training for years. Like, we have 7 years of karate and gun training and knife training under our belt now. And that meant nothing because she didn't even get the opportunity to see these guys and attempt to save Lee and Natalie. So Lee and Natalie were just kind of like pawns, like kind of waiting to die, which was very irritating to discover because they were very kind. When Jose I keep wanting to pronounce it different every time I see the word. Divanes sent all of the members of the family to the four corners of the earth. He still wanted to keep tight rein on them for their protection. That meant keeping records of births, deaths, marriages, and the cities to where they moved. He sent his brother with a ledger to travel the world and keep those records. It became his life work, and when he died, the job was given to another member of the family. As centuries passed, the family became disconnected except for the Cora Divanes group, but the tradition and the duty of maintaining that ledger was ingrained and active in the family. It's considered absolutely necessary to prevent chaos and harm to those members who don't even know why it's happening to them. And what does all this have to do with Prowland? Prowland's boss, Molino, hated what he called freaks because he blamed them for his son's death. He wanted to destroy all of them. When he learned about the ledger, he began searching frantically for it. Before he was killed, he almost had it in his hands. We thought that we'd fooled him with a duplicate. Thought? Molino had pulled Prowland into the plan to work behind the scenes. Prowland managed to pull a sleight of hand gambit and snatch the true ledger. What? How? You're just telling me things that I am meant to believe with no evidence whatsoever. And normally, when you're reading a book, you're supposed to, like, suspend your disbelief. I can't. This was too much. I'm cringing. I can't. Cringe. Horrible. Anyway. And that was so important. You said Molina was dead. It was the most important event imaginable to the Devanes family. Not only were all those families listed in the ledger in danger, but they were vulnerable to a man who had absolutely no scruples. Very funny word. Prowland wasn't as obsessed with psychics as Molino, but he was clever, vicious, and ready to become king of his particular world. He paused. And there were also account codes of the economic activities of the families that would be worth billions if deciphered. The entire family core was in an uproar. That's only money. Simon Wahlberg was dead, and his parents in agony. The money was the smallest part of the picture. His lips thinned. You have no idea how helpless some of those people are who have no idea how to control their gifts. Some of them go mad. Suicides are common if we don't find them in time. We knew they'd be sitting ducks for a man like Prowland. And some of the people in your family are far from helpless if you're any example. True, but it's a fragile balance. Then why not send some of your high-powered psychic wizards after him to get the ledger back? And why don't we have a copy? Well, what do you mean we have a fucking ledger and it's one physical copy? We didn't think, let's make more than one copy. So we still have one. Let's digitize it. Hey everybody, it's fucking I'm gonna say 2014 because that's when the book was released. Maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later. And we didn't put it on the computer. We didn't think, let's back this up. Now let's back up this very critically important document. Oh my god, I'm gonna blow myself up, dude. What the fuck? Someone who could perhaps read his mind and just go after it? We tried. Everything from special forces who tore through his residences trying to find the ledger to sending some of our best mental wizards, as you call them. Prowland has a natural mind block, very strong, and he's evidently hidden the ledger very well. We haven't been able to find it in 9 years. She was silent. And am I supposed to be next on your list of wizards? You could do it. Very weird place to put the emphasis. I'm very upset. How do you know? I was one of the first on the list sent to probe and try to find out where he'd hidden the ledger. I couldn't get anywhere reading his mind, but I could see movement and vulnerability in the memory area. In the memory area? Oh no. And you want me to dip into that cesspool he calls a memory and pull out your ledger? He nodded. What you're able to do is unusual and almost unique. If there are any others capable of reading Prowland, I haven't found them. Even if I could find out what you know. Huh? What he knows. But okay, sure. I'd have to get close enough to read him. And sometimes people live in the present and seldom think about the past. I know, it's so bad. I love this book so much. I know all that, but I'll get you to him, and then we'll worry about the rest. It's worth it, Allie. In your opinion. Damn it, it's worth it. He paused, because Prowland is playing games with that ledger. He told us he was using that ledger to list all the children that his organization kidnapped together with their purchasers. He has been teasing us with that damn list. Also, in the last 9 years, he's killed 17 family members. He's taking his time and plucking them one by one. 7 of those people didn't even know they belonged to the Devanas family. One day they were living their lives, and the next they were dead. Why is he taking his time? 17 lives are a terrible price, but there could be many more, right? Right, he shrugged. Blackmail. What? Prowland is blackmailing the family. Jesus Christ. Low-key, for some reason, I was like, low-key, that number's kind of low. We're acting like this guy's, like, going to blow up the entire planet. I don't know why, but 17 people could be worse. With how we are acting right now, we're acting like this is the worst thing to ever happen to humanity as a whole. Have you even considered the Holocaust? I didn't think so. Could be worse, but could be not. True. Prowland is blackmailing the family. Not money. I'm not sure he knows about the economic codes yet. That's what I'm saying. That was much worse than 17 people. That's crazy. Okay, sorry. I'm not sure he knows about those economic codes yet, but he wants to continue with his rotten little empire, and he's forcing the Devanas family to pull back from exerting even a minimum of political or police interference on Prowland's turf. As long as we play along and give him protection, he'll keep the killing to a minimum. Minimum? You mean you're agreeing to do what he says, and he's allowed to kill people still? Okay. I've had enough. This is fucking ridiculous. If we fail to do it, he'll turn loose the bloodhounds. If he thinks that he's in danger, he's given orders that those children he's sold to his clients are to die. Okay, holy fuck. If we get too close to the ledger for his comfort, he'll either burn it or throw it to the crocodiles. Ugly. But what you're doing isn't clean either. Because we're protecting ourselves? You're right. We're playing a dirty game and we hate it. We try to walk a double line. We send people in to rescue his captives whenever we can do it. I've been trying for years to find ways to get Praland to get to Praland that would keep the ledger safe. He looked her in the eyes. So far, you're the only hope we have. And you were ready to force me to give up everything I wanted to do with my life to give you that hope. Yes. No shame? I did what was necessary. You were the solution. I'll try to help you survive. You're not answering. Guilt? Yes. But I made the decision, and I have to stand by it. She shook her head. The decision's in my court now. Not entirely. There are things that I could do to alter circumstances. He paused. But I prefer not to do them. And now I know what game you're playing. You might have a hard time leading me down the garden path. What the fuck does that even mean? When it was never easy... When was it ever easy between us? I'm not asking you to embrace me or the Devanez family. That would be completely ridiculous and unrealistic. I believe what we're doing is the only possibility under the circumstances, but you seldom agree with me. All I'm asking is that you remember what I offered you. Freedom from Kamano. Revenge for the killing of your friends. He added, and one more thing. The justice for Simon that Lee and Natalie wanted above everything. God, you're clever. She could feel the tears sting again, and she didn't want him to see them. Get out of here, Mantic. I'll call you when I've made up my mind. He nodded and headed for the door. I'll be waiting. But not long, she thought. He'd be moving and shaking and subtly pushing. She leaned her head back against the cushioned chair and closed her eyes, but she wouldn't be pushed. She had to have time, and she had to be clear about what she needed to do, what Natalie and Lee would want her to do. Help me, guys, she murmured. You thought it was worthwhile when you let Mantic talk you into it. You're both so smart. You must have thought it was right. But she was alone now, and she was the one to decide right and wrong. 6 hours later, she called Mantic. I'll do it, she said. Oh my god, that was so fucking funny. I wish we'd had like a chapter cut here. It would have been a shorter chapter, but that's a sacrifice I'd be willing to make. Have a chapter cut here, and then I'll do it. Or like, change perspectives for a minute, and then go back to her and have her say that she'll do it. Because this was crazy. This is almost like... Okay, like, within chapters, time skips are pretty bad. If you're gonna do that, just go, boop, and then let it be, you know? And I agree, chapters are the perfect line break moment. Like, we don't need to do a line break within the chapter, we could just do a chapter cut. And that would make the chapter short, but that's something that you're going to have to be willing to... That's a sacrifice you're gonna have to be willing to make. You're writing a book, chapters are involved 80% of the time. I don't know, I've read a few books without chapters in them. Where they'll do, like, parts rather than chapters. Not very many books like that, but it's not like I've read every book on the planet, so... Anyway, this was really funny. I'll do it, she said curtly. But you were too vague about what you were offering me in return. I'm going to spell out exactly the terms you have to offer me. Revenge. I want Kamano dead and his crime organization broken up. Freedom. I want out of the witness protection program. I'm tired of being a prisoner. Kamano's death would help with that. But Dantlo might want me to testify against other crime figures. You see that I'm not held hostage to the program. Done. Anything else? She hesitated. I don't want my mother hurt or killed. She couldn't have been involved in this atrocity. She's only entertainment for Kamano. I want her free of him to make a new life. Silence. With you? I don't know. But the thought of starting a new life with someone who had told her that she loved her and wanted to be with her was comforting in this vacuum of loneliness. I'll have to see. I'm confused and hurting right now. And that's very dangerous for you. I'll handle it. Is it strange that I want my mother to survive? Done, he said tersely. And what do you give me in return? I go after your boogeyman, Prowlet, and find out where he's hidden your ledger. I won't stop until you have the damn thing. Fair? More than fair. But first, I'll go to Tanzania for the funeral service for Lee and Natalie. After it's over, I'll take a look around and see where I'm going next. And so help me, if everything isn't exactly what you've told me, I'll be out of here so quickly it'll make your head swim. She paused. And if I go along, I'm holding you to your word on every single thing you promised me. You'll get it. I'll deliver. He paused. Even if you're not able to find out what I want from Proland, after all my time with you, I know you'll keep your word to do everything you possibly can. If you make the attempt and fail, I'll accept it as done. She was silent, shocked. That's unexpected and remarkably generous. I'm the one who is rolling the dice on you. I found you. I convinced everyone in the Divanes core group that you could do it. If I'm wrong, then I'm the one to shoulder the blame. He added dryly. I'm sure you'll agree to that logic. If you're telling me the truth. You'll have to decide that for yourself, but it will be better for you and our chances of taking Proland down if you can bring yourself to trust me. After all, you're tentatively committed now. I've told you what I want, and you've agreed that, for your own reasons, you want it too. You'll find me a capable and reliable ally. And a dangerous and lethal one, she thought. She had experience with Mandic's and deadly intelligence and skill all those years ago. Capable and reliable don't seem to be the words to describe you. I'll have to become used to the thought of them. By all means, we're about to open new doors. I'm sure that we'll both have a few surprises. He went on quickly. I've had Sean arrange a private jet to pick us up at the airport. You'll have an hour or so to rest before we have to leave the apartment. Is that okay? I'm ready now. You always were. Suddenly his voice was filled with humor. You never wanted to wait for anything. I always had to gauge my actions to your lack of patience. Did you? She hadn't known that about him. She wondered how many other things there were about him of which she hadn't been aware of during those years. Everything had been perceived from her defensive point of view, and the feeling that Mandic was both a savior and a threat. Well then, you should have realized that I wouldn't want to rest and twiddle my thumbs waiting for your jet. When can you pick me up? 15 minutes. I'll take you to the airport and buy you a new wardrobe in the shops there until we get the call for the plane. They have anything from haute couture to Fredericks of Hollywood. I don't need any new clothes. It won't hurt. You'll only have the things in your duffel, and I don't know the circumstances we're facing. We'll be tracking Proland, and he travels in very high-income circles these days. He hung up before she could protest again. Oh, we meant, like, okay, this is gonna sound really stupid what I'm about to admit here, but that's fine. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I am really dumb and kind of thought when she said, I'll call him, all logic escaped me, and I thought she meant call him with her mind for him to come into the room and, like, talk things through. I don't know why I thought this. Probably because of the goofy woo-woo nature of the book. But that is what I thought, and it only just now clicked for me that she meant call on the phone. Because this implies that they are in separate places. And the fact that it took me this fucking long to realize that is really bad. Like, I fear that's horrific writing. Is it partially my fault for being kind of dumb? A little bit. But because of the sheer amount of dialogue this book is, it's like 90% dialogue. Nothing happens. We just talk. Because of that fact, it is completely feasible that they were in the same room for this. Makes no difference if they were or weren't. But anyway, whatever, it's fine. He hung up before she could protest again. It was done. The decision had been made and the action taken. And Mandic had already started to plan and move her in the way he wanted her to go. He had taken an element of her character and used it as an excuse to do that. Clever. If she thought about it objectively, she could admire that subtle shifting and prodding. But there was no way she was objective about Mandic at any time. So she would accept this move, but let him know that she was aware of the manipulation. Perhaps if he realized he couldn't deceive her, he would back off. Perhaps. Right now, she was too tired and raw and broken to put up a decent fight. All she could think about were the funeral services waiting for her in Tanzania. After that, she would worry about her promise to Mandic. and ponder that strange, generous promise he had just made to her. It was a mediocre promise, but sure, man, I'm happy for you. I certainly didn't need all those outfits. Allie was frowning as she climbed the steps of the private plane. You went overboard, Mandic. It's a total waste of money. But not a waste of time. I agree that you may not need them. There's a chance that you might be able to get close enough to Prowland in a casino or nightclub to read him. He likes beautiful women, and you're exceptional. However, the chance is slim. We are more likely to have to move onto his turf. Then it was a waste of time. He shook his head. You weren't interested, but you were distracted. That was important. It delayed my being bombarded by more questions. I'm sure you've been thinking since I left you at Sean's apartment. He entered the plane and gestured to a seat. Buckle up. I'm going to the cockpit to talk to the pilot. How long will it take us to get to Tanzania? 20 hours or so. We'll be stopping over in London. It will take us at least 10 hours to get there. Oh my god. I would kill myself, low-key. Also, depending on where we are right now, it's gonna take longer than 10 hours. I'm gonna be really upfront with you. Unless you have the world's fastest fucking plane. Cause if where were we last? When we were hanging, where does Sean live? Did they tell us that? Oh, we're in Las Vegas. Okay, yeah, it's definitely gonna take more than 10 hours. Holy shit. It took 9 to get from Philly to Italy. I'm Googling it now. How long is a plane from Vegas to London? 10 hours. I stand corrected. But that feels very crazy to me that it takes that little time, but whatever. Why do we have to stop over in London? We have to meet someone. Don't worry, it will only be for one night. He disappeared into the cockpit. Someone? He had been entirely too vague. He was right. She was beginning to have more questions now that she was away from Sean's apartment and stepping into this new life. She felt helpless, and she needed to take control. But how could she do that if she had no direction? She took her computer out of her duffel and Googled Tanzania. Lord, it was far away, literally on the other side of the world. Dodoma appeared to be the capital. Was that their destination? I thought you'd be busily checking everything out, Mandic said as he came out of the cockpit. He dropped down in the seat across from her. Well, you have to have a clue before you can check something out. She rolled her computer to show him the map of Tanzania. Dodoma? No, that's the capital. But the U.S. Embassy is in Dar es Salaam. That's where we start. That's where Lee and Natalie's remains were sent. He pointed to a green area southeast of the city. But that's our target. That's where Prowland has his grand palace. It's in the jungle, not too far from the principal mining area. Palace? He nodded. Sandik Palace. He forced a owner to sell it to him. Unfortunately, the owner had an accident before he reached the capital, and the money was never found. The palace had been in his family for a couple centuries, and it was complete with dungeons and harems. Just what Prowland wanted, since he fancies himself as a sort of modern-day Genghis Khan. More like Attila the Hun? Sure. Hi, Cat! My condolences about work. Hope it's going well. How are you? There are similarities in his methods, but he's very rich, and he lives large. The last I heard, he had 5 or 6 women he kept as concubines. That's fucking crazy. Hate this fuck-ass book, dude. They're just like, you know that villain that was the villain in the original, first half of the book? Well, it was all a lie. It's some other guy. But the first villain is still important, but only to the main character and no one else. Took time off today, so not working your shifts. Cringe. Hope it was a nice coworker. Um, Nothing spectacular. I Well, this time skip was pretty fucking bad. In my opinion. We just learned about the Divanes family and all that stuff. We talked about Praland and how we have to get close to him now. So we've, like, officially figured out what Mandic wants us to do. Do I still really understand the implications of it? Not really, but we're certainly gonna go give it a go. It seems, but, you know. He has enough men guarding his palace to constitute a small army. He sends them out on bandit raids within the country and over the borders, and they have trucks, missiles, and various other sophisticated weaponry. Good God, it sounds like he runs the country. Sometimes it comes close. I guarantee that the government wants him out as much as we do. They just don't have the resources or the influence to pull it off. Money is everything, and if the man who is wielding it is also a murderer, willing to take any revenge necessary, it stops them in their tracks. He shrugged. But the Devanas family has agents all over the country, and we're able to strike a balance sometimes. Not often enough. Not with his holding the ledger over our heads. And you think that he keeps the ledger at the palace? I have no idea. We've infiltrated the palace and haven't found it yet. He met her eyes. You'll have to tell us. If you can get me into that place, I'll get you there. He shrugged, but it may not be necessary. Praland moves around a lot. He also operates out of Madagascar and Morocco. He has an extensive prostitution operation in Madagascar. His lips thinned. That's where we managed to find several of the little girls he kidnapped in Italy and Switzerland. Oh my god. We staged a raid on 2 of the bordellos and got them out. Thank God. But it took almost a year to cure them of drug addiction. Jesus Christ! Holy fuck! She gazed at him, shocked. She felt sick at the thought. He must be a total son of a bitch. You know, that's tame. Honestly, but sure. In practically every way. No. Take out the practically. He. Okay. Stupid as hell. I love dialogue. And reading it. What a treat. He tapped the name Dar es Salaam on the map. But this is your first area of concern. We can think about Praland later. I just called Philip Stanley, the man who delivered Lee's and Natalie's ashes to the embassy in Tanzania. He's arranging for the service now. James McKellar, a young clerk, has the job of smuggling the canisters out of the embassy. He paused. I told him that I want it kept absolutely private. No one is to know that we're in the country. Is that possible? We have a chance. As I said, corruption is rife, and Praland has informants everywhere. But then so does the Devanas family. For years we've been keeping our eye on Praland and hoping to make a move. And who's the head of this Devanas family? Sean seemed to think that you are important to them. He shook his head. I'm regarded as something of a loose cannon, but you could say I have the ear of the core group. It's a structure that's mobile in nature, and right now is headed by the keeper of the ledger. Very efficiently, I would add. The agents are slick, well-trained, and completely loyal. He tapped Dar es Salaam on the map again. Stanley will call on the local agents to make a smokescreen of misinformation to give us our chance to say goodbye to the Wahlbergs. Smokescreen? It shouldn't be that way. No, they deserve dignity and respect and anything else the world can give them, but that's not going to happen. Not right now. Maybe later. Maybe later. Okay. Why would you think that it would matter to Praland if they are arranged to be buried here in Tanzania? You said the reason they wanted to do it was only because their son's remains were there. Are you still skeptical that that was the truth? She was silent. No, I think that even you would have a problem being that callous. I was hurting and struck out. Even me, he repeated. I suppose I should be grateful I was included. He added, did it occur to you that I was hurting too? They were both my friends, Allie. It occurred to me. I tried to look at all sides when I was trying to decide what to do. I don't want to make any mistakes. It's too important. I give them what they wanted, she said. I remembered the night you brought me to them. There was this genuine feeling and liking in your expression. Whatever there has been between us, I don't believe pretense was one of them. She stopped, thinking about it. And Lee and Natalie were grateful to you. Natalie told me that she couldn't resent you because they owed you. She stared him in the eye. Why were they grateful to you, Mandic? It was something to do with Simon. Yes. What was it? I shot him. Her eyes widened with shock. What? Simon was Pralin's prisoner. I was friends with Lee and Natalie at the time, and they asked me to help him. The CIA was pressuring me too, because I was familiar with the territory and Pralin's operation. There was a slim chance I could get Simon out. The CIA dropped me in the jungle near the palace, and I went after Simon to try and get him away from that bastard. His face was hard, shadowed. I could hear Simon screaming as I made my way through the jungle to the palace. Pralin had him staked out in the courtyard and was torturing him. He and his men were laughing every time Simon screamed. My God, I'm not going to tell you what they'd done to him. Thanks. I was too late. He'd been torn to pieces. Simon was hanging on by a thread. He couldn't live. All he could do was suffer. His jaw clenched, and I wasn't going to let that bastard Pralin make him suffer one more second. I'd managed to climb up to the top of the wall above the compound. I'm a very good shot. I took careful aim. I killed him. She was silent. She could see that scene that he had painted for her. It was a mediocre painting, but sure. And the sheer horror of it stunned her. I don't know if I could have done that. It must have been a terrible decision. It was no decision at all. I couldn't let the torment go on. I knew that Praland had too many men for me to have a hope of doing anything else. It was the only way Simon would be free and have peace. His lips twisted, and I still failed. My second shot was for Praland, but he dodged out of the way after I killed Simon. His men were pouring toward the wall, and I had to get the hell out of there. As it was, okay, why didn't we fucking kill Praland first? If you kill Simon, the shot alerts Praland, and he's going to get out of the way. If you kill Praland first, then Simon, prone, can be killed next. You stupid, dumb piece of shit! I have never been more irritated in my fucking life. What do you mean you mercy killed Simon first? Someone who was already on the brink of fucking death anyway. I'm actually so goddamn mad. Are you fucking... This book is so unfathomably bad. I need to write one that's better as soon as humanly possible. I need to rise above. I know I could do it. I could write a book right fucking now, and it would be better than this. I could pull out something I've already written, and it would be better than this. And it would be something I wrote at minimum 5 fucking years ago. Something I could not claim if I didn't want to, because I was a different person back then after all. So the fact that I feel confident that I could, and it would be super cringe, but I know, in my heart of hearts, it would be better than this shit. What the fuck? Anyway. His men were pouring toward the wall, and I had to get the hell out of there. As it was, I spent 2 weeks in the jungle dodging Pralin and his men with a bullet wound in my arm. Did he know it was you who had killed Simon? Not at the time, but it wasn't long before he found out. He wanted to know, and he dug and mutilated until he found out my name. He was furious at the thought I'd managed to rob him of the pleasure of torturing Simon. He was even more angry at the thought that I'd humiliated him by getting that close, then thumbed my nose at him. He's never forgotten in the last 8 years. I hear from him every time he thinks he's scored by killing another of the family. I'm beginning to believe I know this Praland very well, she said shakily. He's like a mirror image of the people I grew up with, though I never actually saw the true violence until the night that my father killed Jokeman. She shook her head. What did you tell Lee and Natalie? The truth. They'd already heard what happened to Simon from the CIA and Praland by the time I managed to get back to the city. Praland made a point of looking them up to brag about all the atrocities they'd done to Simon. He thought it was the one way he could get back at me for his humiliation. I went to them and told them I'd killed their son. He shrugged, and braced myself for the storm. They didn't say anything to me. I think they were in shock. Who could blame them? Not me. They came to see me 2 months later and thanked me. I could see it was hard for them, but they genuinely meant it. It let me see what special people they were. He paused, and it gave me a peace I didn't know I needed. From that time on, we were allies as well as friends. Against Praland. He nodded. The thought of what he'd done filled their lives. They couldn't stand the thought of the torture he'd inflicted on Simon or the thought of what he was doing to those children Simon was trying to save. So you drew them in to help prepare me to take down Praland. It was a great plan until it all went wrong. Emotion can ruin the most intelligent schemes. You were annoyed with them? Yes, and frustrated. He smiled, and a little envious. No way. I won't try to convince you. You've been more tolerant than I would have thought. It might be too much to expect you to accept that I occasionally have mixed and human feelings. It might. You didn't give any indications that night you were trying to whisk me out that bedroom window. The destination was in sight after 8 years. I had to try and close the deal. He paused. But I didn't close it, he said bitterly, just as I failed that the night I had my shot at Praland, and I didn't kill him. Ah. She stared at him with mixed emotions. Frustration, surprise, even sympathy. For God's sake, just listen to you. So you're not perfect. You did what you could. It sounds to me as if you risked your neck that night to try and save Simon. Ugh. You're always telling me not to blame myself. What the hell are you doing? He gazed at her for an instant, then chuckled. I'm glad you believe I did what I could. I thought I was high up on the blame list. Kamado heads that list. It took a little while, but that's clear to me now. She shook her head, and for the rest, Prahlin is looming right beside him. She shook her head. 2 times? You can see it! It's literally right fucking there. She shook her head, she shook her head. Editor, when I fucking catch you? Because at this point, it's not even the author's fault, it's the fucking editor. Anyway, I fucking digress. And I've never even seen him. I don't know what he looks like. Allow me. He took his phone back and accessed another site. The tall man with the straw-colored hair is Praland. The man sitting next... No one would say straw-colored in real life, but go off. Actually, I'm going to cringe, because you can't stop me. The man sitting next to him is Hans Brucker, his lieutenant. He lifted his shoulder in a half shrug as he handed it back to her. Or maybe I should call him Cobra in training. He's almost as vicious as Praland. The 2 men were sitting on a tiled veranda, dressed in boots and dark pants and shirt. Oh my god. I'm not gonna fucking make it. Praland was lean and sinewy. With a long face and pale gray eyes. He was smiling but without humor. His thin lips pulled back from large white teeth. Straw hair, it looked more platinum colored and was long and coarse. Brucker was smaller, chunky, with a plump face and up-tilted dark eyes. I didn't know Brucker existed either, Allie said. Praland Brucker. Lee and Natalie wouldn't have even been with me if it hadn't been for Praland. It's like a complicated chain with all spiked links. The links have nothing to do with each other, yet the chain exists. How very deep. Bullshit, she said wearily. I'm just trying to work out why this happened. There has to be a reason. Evil. Yes, it's probably as simple as that, but Lee and Natalie always told me I should look at both sides of the coin. Her lips twisted, even when it came to a certain Professor Simpson, who was driving me crazy. Funny I should think of him now. He's so unimportant in the scheme of things. Evidently he was important to you at the time. That's one of the reasons why I turned you over to Lee and Natalie. I knew they'd furnished you with the kind of normal background training I never could. No, you gave me karate lessons. You would probably have told me to go after Simpson and take him down. Possibly, he smiled, if it didn't interfere. But it would have interfered with the life I was planning for myself. She paused. They wanted to keep those plans safe and intact. I didn't appreciate what they were giving up to let me have my chance. What? Okay. Sure. Sure, man. Say whatever you want. It doesn't fucking matter. Anyway, I have to run an ad really quick, and also, it's getting hard to breathe through my nose. So, I'm going to take a quick break. I will be right back. Everybody sit tight during the ad. Okay, I'm back now. And classically moved the book way far away from where it was supposed to be. Very good. Who doesn't love that? Okay, anyway, thank you. It is good to be back. Evil has no reason, blah blah blah. Simpson, blah blah blah. Ah, they cared about you. I know that. They said we were a family. Do you know what that meant to me? I'd never had a family. Not really. You may have persuaded them to take me into their home, but they did much more. She drew a ragged breath. And now it's payback time. I have to give back. They wanted the man who killed their son to be given his last just punishment. Oh, they wanted the man who killed their son to be given his just last whatever. It was supposed to be a question. I didn't read it that way, and then I tried again. I can't be asked. Okay, it's a last just punishment. Whatever. Okay, I'll do it. I don't care about your ledger or your fine Devana's family. As far as I'm concerned, it's all about Lee and Natalie. How convenient that I suddenly have a reason to give you what you want from me. Not fair, Allie. I guess not. She looked down at the computer. I'm trying, but I'm not going to be able to shed the suspicion and wariness overnight. I know I'm going to have to work with you now, but my only protection against you seemed to be Lee and Natalie and the defensiveness that I developed. She pointed to the jungle area outside Dar es Salaam. I don't know anything about jungles. I'll need to know about them, won't I? Why didn't you teach me? I couldn't teach you everything. He smiled faintly. As you pointed out to me, you had a life to live. You did very well with what I did throw at you. I haven't done any physical training for 2 months. I need to do that. My last report said that you were very competent. I want to be more than competent. I can't fail because I'm not prepared for Prowland. It might not come down to that kind of battle, Ellie. And it might. You need to work with me every day while we have the chance, she said fiercely. I don't know anything about this bastard you're throwing at me. I'm feeling helpless. I'm not going to stay that way. I thought I was preparing myself for Kamano. Now this Prowland has to come first. And you made the decision. No, I didn't. Lee and Natalie made the decision. They wanted to have him brought down. It's the last gift I can give them. But I have to be ready. Easy. I'll work with you. We may not have much time. It will have to be enough. Her gaze shifted to look out the window. And who are we supposed to be meeting in London? You are entirely too vague. Sorry, it's a habit I've had to cultivate over the years. Most of the family prefer not to be identified or even placed at a given location. I generally try to accommodate them. Family? Divana's? Yes. My family, he said quietly. And they mean as much to me as Lee and Natalie did to you. I'm sure. Do they? She frowned thoughtfully. I've been thinking of the Devanas clan as some kind of extensive. She didn't know what words to use. It sounds as if they're pulling strings and trying to manipulate this world to suit themselves. That's not how I think of family. A family is made up of individuals, that they are what they are. The Devanas just have a different set of challenges. Terrible. Also, that's not what a fucking family is. Please get real. And which Devana's member am I going to have to meet in London? She asked wearily. A very important one. Renata Wilger is booked at the Windsor Hotel. A woman! She may die, all things considered. Because, as Kat said, there are 3 living women at the end of this book, and this is one of them. So, we're capped at our 3 living women. 3 living named women right now. So either she dies to make room for a new woman later in the book, or she lives to the end and we don't meet any more women. Both very promising options. Anyway, she's been very anxious to meet you for a number of years. I've been holding her at bay from coming to Flagstaff and trying to take you away from me. Why? Because she's the keeper of the ledger. I told you there's always a family member in charge of the gathering of information and keeping records. In this case, she pretty well runs both the operation and the family. Renata Wilger was chosen when she was only a teenager, and she was in charge of it when Prolin stole it. She's been frantic to get it back. She feels that everything Prolin has done since he took it is her responsibility. The keeper of the ledger. It sounds like some kind of fantasy movie like Lord of the Rings. She made a face. And I'm not liking the idea of this Renata Wilger wanting to hijack me. I can see why you'd claim the Devanas as your family. The family traits are beginning to emerge. Give us a chance. We might grow on you. I am not so fucking sure. I doubt that, but I have to give you a chance. Not really. I've been backed into a corner. I have no choice. No, you don't. His lips tightened. But I'll make it up to you. I'll keep my promise, Allie. She didn't reply. He muttered a curse. And I'll find a way to keep you safe. The words were vibrating with power, and his entire body was taut, every muscle corded and sparking with intensity. She could feel that vibration in her wrists, in the palms of her hands, in the swelling of her breath. Bro! In what fucking in the swelling of her breasts. She had to force herself to look away from him. He sounded as if he meant what he said, but she couldn't count on anyone but herself. He'd made it clear he was loyal to the Devanes family, and his whole concentration and effort had been to bring her to this point to help them. She was as alone as she'd always been before Lee and Natalie. Her gaze returned to the map. Do you have a floor plan for this palace? Yes. He took out his phone. I'll send it to your email. I bribed a servant to get it for me when I was trying to free Simon. I'd even had him dig a tunnel from the outer wall to the dungeon, he added bitterly, but I never got a chance to use it. Praland had Simon on display in the courtyard when I heard his screams. He was sending the email. It should still be pretty much the same. Good. We have a long time before we get to London. I want to memorize it. She opened the document and studied the palace. It's pretty spread out, isn't it? That's okay. I'll still be able to do it. Concentration. Isn't that what you always told me when you were teaching me to block? You've got to concentrate, Allie. That's what. Oh my god. That's what I told you. He leaned back in his chair, his gaze on her face. And you always gave me what I wanted. Well, maybe not what I wanted, but what was good for you at the time. She had a fleeting memory of those hours of emotion, sensuality, and desperation. She quickly veered away. Don't think of the way she'd felt about him during those months. He'd meant too much to her at the time, but she had managed to walk away to a new life. Now that life, too, was over. She had to do what was needed, then walk away again. She could feel his gaze on her face. Ignore him. Ignore what she was feeling. Think of this palace on the screen before her and the monster who inhabited it. Or that woman, Renata Villager, who was waiting for her in London to try and force her to give the Devanas family what it needed. She could imagine the roughness, toughness, and hardness of a woman who had been chosen as keeper of the ledger, but she wouldn't be intimidated by her. She had only one focus, and that was the funeral. After that, she'd worry about the ledger and what it meant to Pralin's targets and those poor children he was holding captive. Screw Renata Wilger. Oh, for God's sake, man, Dick, she's not much more than a child, Renata Wilger said in disgust as her gaze raked Allie's face. And she's pale and fragile as a ghost. You told me you'd been training her. Back off, Renata, Mandic said quietly. She's no child, and she's had a hell of a lot to deal with lately, including rudeness from a woman I don't know and have no intention of getting to know, Allie said coldly. In spite of Renata's rudeness, her appearance didn't reflect the hardness Allie had expected. Renata Wilger was a small, red-haired, slim, and in her late 20s or early 30s. She seemed to radiate passion and force that was sweeping in intensity. Allie found herself having to brace against that intensity. And I don't give a damn about your precious ledger. I have my own agenda. I'll do what Lee and Natalie would want me to do. Then I'm gone. Renata Wilger's brows rose. She might do after all, she said slowly. At least she's not a wimp. But I still think you should have turned her over to me in the beginning, Mandic. I would have cut my throat, Allie said with precision. It was bad enough having Mandic hovering over me. She turned to leave the hotel room. Now I'll wait in the lobby and let you talk about me. Wait. Renata Wilger hesitated. Okay, I was rude. I suppose I should apologize. But I've been waiting for a long time, and you're not what I expected. You look soft. Praland is probably going to be able to chew you up and spit you out. Her lips thinned. And that means the killing goes on, and so will the kidnapping of those kids. The hideous thought of the condition of those children rescued from the bordellos that Mandic had told her about caused Allie's anger to ebb. I'm not soft, and no one is going to chew me up and spit me out. I'll vouch for that, Mandic said dryly. Maybe not. Renata gestured to a chair. Sit down, Allie. We have to talk. No, we don't. Did I shoot myself in the foot, Mandic? Renata asked ruefully. Probably, but she'll listen if you can convince her that it's to her advantage. It is to your advantage, she said to Allie. I originally set up this meeting because I wanted to have a look at you, but we seem to have another problem. She glanced at Mandic. I got a report from Paris. We think Prolin managed to break the tracking code on your phone sometime within the last 2 months. Mandic went still. Shit. You know he's been trying for years, but our techs say they think he was able to hit the right tower last month. He may have been able to track you to Flagstaff. Mandic muttered a curse. Then why the hell didn't he come after me? It's what he's been wanting for years. He's been threatening me every time he's phoned me with one of his damn updates. That's what we've been wanting to know, Renata said grimly. Why wait? Why not send in one of his death squads? I can't figure it out, Mandic said slowly. Of course, he wouldn't find it as easy operating in the US as it is on his home turf. He avoids it whenever he can. But Prowland is nothing if not determined, and he can be tricky as hell. So the question is, how did he plan on taking me out? Allie was gazing at both of them in frustration. What is this all about? Didn't Mandic tell you? Renata asked. Prowland wasn't pleased about Mandic's getting close enough to do that mercy killing on Simon. He'd believed he'd been humiliated. He put a bounty on Mandic's head, and every year that Mandic survived, the bounty has gone up. How high is it now, Mandic? He shrugged. That's not important. It hasn't gotten in the way of my work. No, he didn't tell me, Allie said, but he did say that he wanted our presence in Tanzania to be kept quiet. I didn't realize what the urgency was about. It would have been urgent regardless, Mandic said, but I thought that if I was spotted in Dar es Salaam, the fact that I had you with me would send up a red flag. Prolin would start asking questions about you. He met her eyes, and he moves in the kind of circles where he would get the answers. You mean he'd find out that I'm a possible threat to him? She asked curtly. But then that was only a matter of time, right? I was hoping for the element of surprise, but not expecting it. You always thought I might be a target. Do you expect me to deny it? Yes, I always thought that might happen. He turned to Renata. So have you been searching for answers? You've obviously been privy to this information longer than I have. Not much longer, Renata said. I got word right after you left Las Vegas. I wish I'd heard before everything blew up and the Wahlbergs were killed. She turned to Allie. I'm sorry for your loss. They were fine people. Yes, they were. Exceptional people, and they didn't have to die. We're all agreed on that. Renata turned back to Mandic. I have another coded phone ready for you. Get rid of the one you have. When was the last time you used it? Only a few local calls that day in Las Vegas, and a call to Dantlow. Sean set up the transport of the ashes and our own flight, so that shouldn't have been traced. I was in Las Vegas for days, and no one tried to hit me. Again, why not? His voice was tense. And those days probably put Sean Donneville in major jeopardy. I've already pulled him out of Las Vegas, Renata said. Honestly, if Sean dies, I will kill myself. The moment I got confirmation that your phone had been accessed, I called him personally and told him that he was to leave Las Vegas and go to Monte Carlo. She made a face. He had no quarrel with that reassignment. I imagine that's true, Mandic said dryly, as long as he was kept in his comfort zone. Anything else? She shook her head. I've just been trying to put all the pieces together and fill in some very intriguing blanks. She looked him directly in the eye. But you're very, very smart, Mandic. Perhaps the most intelligent and innovative man in the Divana's group. I'm sure you're going to try to do the same thing as I am once I leave you to it. Suppose we meet here for dinner and discuss what we've come up with? She opened the door for them and handed a key to Mandic. I've taken a room for you 2 doors down. I'll order dinner for 7. That should give us the chance to explore a few possibilities. She turned to Allie. I probably handled you all wrong, but this new threat to Mandic has me ready to explode. Do you know what kind of risk he runs whenever he goes out on one of his searches? If the family member he's trying to help is a name in that book, there's every chance that Prollin's men might be there too. Prollin has owned that book for the past 8 years. Allie's gaze was on the other woman's face. And it's driving you crazy. Mandic tried to explain that to me, but I didn't realize how extensive your involvement went. Everything that happens to do with that book is my responsibility. And Mandic has been like a brother to me all these years. It kills me to think of Prolin going after him. What Prolin did to Simon would be child's play compared to the torture he'd hand out to Mandic if he ever caught him. Wah wah. I'm not sure I would care at this point. He is very annoying. That's not going to happen, Renata, Mandic said quietly. No, it's not, because we're not going to let it. She gestured impatiently with her hand. And you don't understand any of it, Allie. All you know is that you've been caught in the middle and can't get out. I can get out, Allie said. All I have to do is walk away. Lee and Natalie might have wanted me to do that, but that's not an option for me any longer. Okay, then, I can walk away. I am stuck here. What are you saying? I am going to fucking shoot you. Okay, have a good day. That's not an option for me any longer. I have to give them what they wanted for their assignment. She went past Renata and out into the hall. That's all I can concentrate on right now. You do what you have to do to protect each other and your wonderful ledger. All I ask is that you get me in a position where I can try to read Prowland that get me out. After that, it's up to Mandic. She glanced at him. Knowing you, I don't believe Prowland will last long once he doesn't have the protection of that book. Only a heartbeat, Renata called grimly as she closed the door. Count on it. Less. Mandic had caught up with Allie and was unlocking the hotel room door. I've been waiting a long time. He pushed open the door and stepped aside for Allie to enter, and I have a long, bloody list with Pralin's name on it. And one of them is Silent Wahlberg. That name belongs to me, too. She went to the window and looked down at the street below. It was a gray day, but there was bustle and life on the streets. London. She hadn't paid much attention on the drive from the airport, but she was remotely aware that the city had a distinct flavor. Lee used to get some of his first editions at a bookstore on Hanover Street. He'd get so excited when they came by UPS. I remember the stamps. She looked over her shoulder as she heard him pick up the house phone. What are you doing? Just calling room service to send up coffee and sandwiches. You didn't eat anything on the plane. He spoke briefly into the phone, then hung up. Why don't you go into the bedroom and rest? The coffee should be here soon. I'll just go to the bathroom and splash some water on my face. She moved toward the bathroom door. I feel gritty, and I need to clear my head after dealing with your Renata Bilger. She's not mine. She's purely her own person. What did you think of her? At first, I wanted to sock her. And then? And then I began to see that she was very human. I still wanted to sock her, but I could see where she was coming from. Glad we're pitting the two women against each other. Very cool. She paused at the bathroom door. She appears to be a cross between a high-powered CEO and an FBI special agent. He smiled. Funny you should say that. Renata's cousin, Mark, raised her and trained her as keeper, and he was a special agent with Israeli intelligence. Oh my god, Israel mention. Cringe. It shows. She paused. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. This book said Israel has the right to exist, which is fucking crazy. Anyway, how many pages is this shit? Okay, only 300. We're schmoovin'. It shows, she paused. I expected her to be tough, and she is. I didn't expect her to be so intense. She really cares about you. We're family, he said simply, as he dropped down in the chair beside the desk. It goes with the territory. I believe you've come to realize that. Now go and splash your face, and try to get Renata out of your mind. It probably won't be possible. She tends to dominate. She doesn't dominate you. He smiles. Sure she does. Didn't you hear her tell me to put my thinking cap on and figure out what Prowlin's up to? I have every intention of doing just that while I'm waiting for room service to come knocking. Really? Her brows lifted. I know Renata seems to have a good deal of faith in you, but you're not allowing yourself much time. I've already started. His smile faded. In fact, I'm halfway there. I've just got to get the possibilities in line. What the fuck are you saying? All these conversations are so bad. Like, I'm actually so fucking irritated. Okay, back for real this time. Welcome back. Israel mention, just so you know. Fucking crazy. Good stuff. How was your shift? Anything of note? Hopefully, nothing bad. Okay. And the possibilities, evidently, were not pleasant. Allie could sense the edge, the sharpness beneath that expression. Whatever, that's between you and Renata. I've told you my focus. She went into the bathroom and closed the door. Need to check on someone in like 10 minutes, but other than that, everyone's pretty chill. Oh, okay, good. Godspeed on The someone in 10 minutes, check. Very weird way to word that, but that's fine. I'm talking and not writing. If I were writing, it would have been criminal. Anyway, she leaned against it for a moment and closed her eyes. She was tired and sad and a little bewildered. She could accept the first two, but she had to keep her mind clear and focused. The interchange with Renata had confused her. She had come close to liking the woman, and she did understand her. Under the same circumstances, she might have had the same intensity as Renata had shown. As Mandic had said, in these last years, Allie, too, had discovered that love of family was everything. Not only had she begun to understand Renata's viewpoint, but as she'd watched Renata and Mandic together, she had begun to question her judgment of Mandic. They barely fucking did anything but go off. So two people are in their rooms and the third is working on a craft while clothes are in the wash. Craft, so true. What craft? Drop the craft. Oh, woman revealed. Woman revealed. I was actually just talking about that not too long ago. About how either she was going to die or this was the last woman we were going to meet over the course of the entire book. It is up for debate. Not too sure what will happen. This book is so bad, I can't get a read on what's going to happen next. Like, a lot of the time when I'm reading a bad book, I can guess what will happen next. I feel like my powers have been stripped from me because this book is so fucking bad, I could not tell you what might happen next. If this were a real book, diamond painting, oh, I love those. Those are so much fun. So true. I hope she's having fun. Anyway, um oh yeah, if this were a real book, okay, this is my prediction. It very well could be wrong. I'm not feeling too confident. Like, I certainly wouldn't put any money on what I'm about to say. But if if the author were normal and someone that I felt like I could get a read on, which I can't, but if I could, I can ask to take a photo of her progress. I am a little bit interested. Like, what picture is she doing? Drop the diamond painting. I think I have one somewhere that I'm in the middle of. It's like a little sunflower. It's like about this big, and it's like in the shape of a sunflower. I'm still in the middle of it, but when I went to Mega Meet this year, they have a diamond painting booth. That sells like little jars of the diamonds, so, and I think glue as well, so you can like make your own. Like, you don't have to follow the pattern. You can like make your own, which I think is really, really cool. I honestly think they're really tacky looking and would never hang one like in my room or whatever. But they're fun to physically do. You know what I mean? Anyway. She's on a phone call right now, but I can ask her after. Oh, okay, that's really cute. I'd love to see it. I hope she's having a nice phone call. I'm sure she's having a better time than we are reading this book. Oh right, my prediction. If I were to make a prediction, and again, I'm not feeling confident on it, I have a feeling that Renata is going to die, and then Allie will become the next keeper of the ledger. That feels like a natural progression to a poorly written story. However, I don't know anything about anything. This book is very bad. So, we'll see where that goes. She's also got me into it. Kind of, ooh, okay, and when you have pictures of that one, I want to see that one too. They're so fun. I did like a really big cat one once. It took me ages, and then as soon as I finished it, I was like, okay, we can get rid of it now. Cause it loses its appeal after you're done. Like, it's fun to do, but like afterwards, it's like, it's kinda ugly. Don't I have one, but it's an older picture I've done. Oh, okay, well, you can pick the one you share. I'm sure both would satisfy my curiosity. Okay, where was I? Okay. Throughout her entire relationship with Mandic, she thought of him as totally invulnerable. She'd been the one who had to fight for her independence against his intelligence and strength. But Renata had not seen him as invulnerable. She had seen him as threatened and a friend to protect. It had been an eye-opener, but it was a vision Allie couldn't accept. Mandic was already too much in her thoughts and emotions, both the disturbing sensuality and that bonding that never left her in all those years. He struck sparks whenever he was around her. She certainly didn't need to believe he might actually need her at some point. No way. Her eyes flicked open. She took a step closer to the vanity and turned on the water. I'm out of it, she told her reflection in the mirror. This needs to be in italics. I am going to fucking beat you to death. Oops. I won't be drawn into the net. Let Renata worry about you, Mandic. Coffee. Mandic was pouring the dark brew into her cup as she came out of the bathroom 10 minutes later. You take it black, right? She felt foolish as she stared at him. What had she been thinking? No one could look less like they needed anyone to worry about them. Mandic had taken off his black leather jacket and rolled up the sleeves of his blue shirt. He looked tough and virile and totally able to handle anything. You know I take it black. She came toward him. How many times did you fix it for me when we were at the lodge? That was a long time ago. You were only a kid. Tastes change. I wouldn't insult you by assuming that you're the same person as when I turned you over to Lee and Natalie. He handed her the cup and saucer. You've clearly matured. Was there a hint of sensuality in his tone? She felt a tingle of heat. Ugh. I'd rather you didn't. It surprised her. She thought she was too numb to feel anything but sorrow. It was the first time she'd experienced that sexuality since that night he had come into her room at the house in Flagstaff. She supposed some responses were mindless and could never be controlled. Then, if it couldn't be controlled, ignore it. Yes, I have. She sat down in the chair across from him, in many, many ways. I'm sure Lee must have given you a report on my personal life, as well as the other items on the list. You mean sex? What the fuck are you what? Since when would that be what this implies? You're a fucking creepo, dude. Please go to jail. Only in general terms. I just wanted to be assured that you weren't becoming serious enough about anyone for it to become a problem for us. Heaven forbid, she said sarcastically. He smiled faintly. And besides, I've always regretted having to be so damn noble for saying no when I desperately wanted to. Oh my god. What the fuck? Ew. He was like, yeah, I wanted to fuck you when you were 16. He said, yeah, I'm a pedophile. That's what he just said here. Oh my god. I didn't want to hear any details. The heat was there again, and so was the tension and lack of breath. She remembered lying against him in that bed and feeling the hardness of his muscles against her softness. She could almost smell the musk and lemon scent of him. She was smelling it. He was using the same aftershave as he had when she was 16. Why did you say that? You could have just said the same aftershave as he had back then. Why did the number 16 need to come up again? It didn't. Have a great day. He even looked the same. The flat stomach, the dark hair on his muscular forearms and chest, and she knew how they felt against her. So familiar. But she wasn't the same. Every sense was tuned to a dizzying sexual arousal. Ew! She had felt something then, but nothing compared to what she was feeling now, and he must have sensed it. His eyes narrowed. Allie? She quickly looked away from him, and I wouldn't have forgiven Lee if he'd given you any details. He shook his head. Wrong. You would have forgiven Lee anything. You would have just blamed it on me. You're probably right. She could feel her eyes sting, because he would have had a good reason for doing it. Not that he would ask me. All they ever wanted was for me to be safe and not be hurt. If you recall, I'd said something like that at the time. You did, didn't you? I'd forgotten. Curses. He dramatically struck his forehead with his palm. Forgot? My one attempt at being the good guy, and you obviously weren't impressed. She had never seen him like this. You can hardly blame me. The corners of her lips turned up. It was so rare that I must have missed it. There's always that possibility. He took us. None of the conversation ever makes any fucking sense. Have a terrible fucking day. He took a sip of coffee before he gazed down into the depths of his cup. But believe me, that was a difficult week. We've had a lot of difficult times. He looked up to meet her eyes. Sorry, I lost where I was. And there are going to be more coming. I was sitting here trying to put two and two together as Renata told me to do. I came up with a double bullseye. She stiffened. Any hint of humor had vanished in those last sentences. Mandick's expression was grim. What? I was hoping for separate targets, but that might not be possible. I don't know what you're talking about, Mandick. I'm talking about the fact that Prowlin should have acted against me and didn't do it. He's practically salivating to get his hands on me. Yet, when he had his chance, he didn't follow through. He's crafty as hell, and there had to be a reason why. And what reason would that be? He found someone to do his dirty work for him. Who? Kamano. She froze, stunned. You're crazy. That doesn't make sense. You're right. It doesn't fucking make any sense. But Chekhov's guy, I guess, is the move we're going with here. Which is fine. Honestly, I should have known. I feel a bit stupid for not having guessed it sooner. I wish it didn't. Do you want to hear the scenario? He didn't wait for her to answer. Prowlin managed to get a general location on me, but I move around a lot, and he wouldn't have been able to get a precise target area. But the signal must have constantly returned to Flagstaff, so he started looking for a reason, a connection. Lee and Natalie, she whispered, Simon's parents. Two senior citizens who had retired at their old college town. But what did he find besides Lee and Natalie? A young girl who was supposed to be their niece. But under investigation and intense scrutiny, that proved untrue. She was not their niece. So who was she? And why would the Wahlbergs and I both be interested in her? They couldn't know it was witness protection. You have a security detail. Prowland could have traced him to Dantlow. There are the usual school photos that have been taken of you during the last 7 years. You were memorable when you were 16. You're even more unforgettable now. Prowland probably started to circulate those pictures among the underbelly of society, and suddenly came up with an interested party. Kamano. He nodded. And okay, you said it. Chekhov's name drop, so true. He nodded. And a reason I might also be interested in you. We hadn't been able to touch Prowland or find a trace of where he'd hidden the ledger because of his natural block. But you might prove to be a threat if what Kamano told him about you was true. So it was to Prowland's advantage to rid himself of you and anyone else who stood in the way. He started to deal with Kamano to have him take care of the problem for him, so that he could avoid risking his empire in Africa by going up against the feds in the US. His lips twisted. And I'm sure my head on the platter was a major part of the deal Prowland insisted upon. And the break-in at Downlow's office was by Prowland's men and not Kamano's. No, I believe that was Kamano, but he was verifying, not searching. He wanted to make sure that the deal he was making with Prowland was the real thing. Prowland would have been more cautious about a break-in. He would have been afraid that Downlow would warn me of a possible problem, which he did. Allie said numbly. I wonder how much Prowland was willing to pay to Kamano to create his bloodbath. It might have been very cheap for him. After all, they really wanted the same thing. She moved her shoulders as if shrugging off a burden. But this is all supposition. 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 Good stuff. You're guessing, Mandick. Yes, I'm guessing, he said grimly. And the only thing that might substantiate it is the fact that Kamano's goon let go said my name before I killed him. He recognized me. He was probably furnished a photo of me by Prowland. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was too involved with getting you and the Wahlbergs out of the house. Guesswork, she repeated. That I'm going to accept until I know it's not true, Mandick said, because I want to know if we've got battles on two different fronts or if we have to face a combined enemy. I'm going to assume it's the latter. And Allie was beginning to believe he could be right. Her mind was in a whirl, and yet the scenario Mandick had depicted could well be true. Had her enemy Kamano and the monster who had poisoned Lee and Natalie life? Oh no. and Lee and Natalie Life come together to again to attack and destroy them that night. It's okay, Mandic was reading her expression. We'll get through it. That's what you said when you were trying to keep me from going crazy and pull me through one of those damn memory sessions, she said shakily. This is a little bit more than that, Mandic. You didn't think so at the time. He reached out and gently touched her cheek. Ew. Don't fucking touch me. But this is more, and that may be a good thing. No fighting against phantoms. We'll be going for the jugular. We just have to figure out how to do it. Oh, is that all? He smiled. I know, but we'll do it. His hand moved down to cup her throat. Can you not do that? Or, I would appreciate it if you didn't, but thanks. Your pulse just jumped. I can feel it pounding. He was suddenly still, his hand tightening. Why? He took a breath and pulled his hand away from her. Sorry, not a good idea. Yeah, man. No, she nodded jerkily as she stepped back from his touch. She was liking it too much. It was giving her comfort as well as that fiery, tingling warmth. We have no choice but to figure out how to get some sort of plan together. So where do we go from here? I go to see Renata and we compare notes. She's probably coming up with something on similar lines. Because you think alike? Because we have similar experiences. And we generally think out of the box. I'll ask her to... Out of the box is fucking right. I'll ask her to send someone to Kamano's camp to try and verify. He moved toward the door. Drink your coffee and have a bite to eat. Not much. We'll have dinner with Renata at 7, then we'll be leaving from the airport at 11 tonight. I should be back soon. I won't... He stopped as he saw her expression. What? I'll do as you suggest because I can't contribute right now, and you may come up with something valuable if I leave you to it. She met his gaze across the room. But don't expect me to let you pat me on the head and do whatever you tell me to do. I'm going to be a part of every aspect of getting Prowland, and I have a very personal interest now that I realize that his hands are as stained and as bloody as Kamano's. He smiled. I know you too well to expect you to be that meek. I remember having to chase you through the forest that night, so that you could be sure that I'd put down those 3 men of Kamano's. I'm just grateful you're not chasing after me to Renata's room. She's very wary of antagonism from any corner. I'm not antagonistic. Not anymore. I'll take help wherever I can get it. She lifted... What? These characters are so fucking confusing. None of their actions ever make any fucking sense. I love reading books. I love that this was published. I love that this was possible. And I am being so fucking serious. Anyway. She lifted her cup to her lips. Particularly from you, Mandic. It appears we're both targets, and we may need each other to survive, she added. So by all means, go and have your chat with Renata. But while you're talking strategy, start planning how to get me to that service for Lee and Natalie. Nothing you've told me just now has changed that priority. Nothing is more important to me. He nodded soberly. I'll get you there. He opened the door. And what's more important, I'll get you out. Heathrow Airport, London. Just do what Mandic tells you to do. Renata watched Mandic head for the cockpit. He's smart and lethal and everything I'd want in someone in my corner. She turned to face Allie. He'll do whatever is... She stopped as she saw Allie's expression. Okay, you're not going to do that. Good advice, but not realistic for you. She made a face. Or for me, for that matter. I'll try to go along with what seems sensible to me. From what Mandic has told me about you, that's quite a concession. I'm trying to do... Okay. That seems incorrect. She's always doing what seems sensible to her. Only that ever, but okay. From what, I'm trying to do what Lee and Natalie would want me to do. She shrugged. Sometimes it's not easy, but there has to be a middle road somewhere, and I'll find it. I'm sure Mandic will be grateful, Renata said dryly. She was silent for a moment. Good luck. I'm sorry I started out wrong with you. You have every right to resent me. I don't resent you. She realized she was telling the truth. The first moment in Renata's suite seemed a long time ago. During these last hours she had spent with the woman, Allie had realized how intensely Renata not only cared about all the individuals she called family, but also those children who had been Prowland's victims. You were worried about Mandic and being protective. She smiled slightly. I do find that idea a bit bizarre. Sometimes I do too. What can I say? He's family. Renata reached out and took Allie's hand to shake. But I want you to know I regard you as family now too. I'll protect you as much as I can. Thank you, but I'm sure both you and Mandic regard me as expendable. Renata flinched. Sometimes I don't have a choice, but Mandic doesn't consider you expendable. It would be a hell of a lot safer for him if he did. In case you haven't noticed, he goes the extra mile even when everyone else considers it a suicide mission. Like the night he went after Simon Wahlberg? Renata nodded. I told him not to go. It was my duty. I knew it was probably a lost cause. And you were right. It doesn't make me sleep any better at night. And who's to say who was right? I had logic on my side, but Mandic had hope. And because of that hope, he was able to spare Simon unbearable suffering. Well, not really, but further unbearable suffering, I suppose. And put himself on Pralin's hit list. He knew that was going to happen the minute he pulled the trigger and put Simon out of his misery. He's never regretted it. Her smile ebbed, but I've regretted it for him. Every time he doesn't check in for a little while, I make an excuse to call him. He pretends not to know why I'm doing it. Her gaze moved to the cockpit door, but he knows. She shrugged and turned back to Allie. This memory reading you do, how does it work? Is it a sure thing? How do I know? When I was reading the memories of those men from my father, I was able to do it every time, but I've never across anyone who has a natural mind block. But which would be all too fucking convenient. Considering. Like, I feel like the book at this point is just making shit up and putting random obstacles in our way to our final objective, and it's really pissing me off. If I knew right from the beginning that the odds were slim, I'd be like, okay. But now it just feels like we're making shit up to make it more difficult. Because at first it seemed really easy. Like, all we needed to do was to get her close to Prolland. And I was like, okay. We sneak her in as like a servant, or maybe and what this book would do would have her pose as some kind of like a concubine, perhaps. Some, you know. And then she would get close to him that way. And then she'd probably fuck up, reveal her stuff somehow before they have sex or something, and then everything fucks up and we have to escape. Perfect. Cool, whatever. But now he knows what we look like and knows really, really well. And he has some bullshit mind block that we might not even be able to get through. Okay, why are we even bothering, man? Can't we just kill this guy? Like, I kinda don't get it. Whatever. Whatever. But I've never crossed anyone who has a natural mind block. Mandic says he believes I'll be able to do it. He detected a weakness in Pralin's memory area, which is one of my favorite things that they say. That's what he told me too. But you have to realize I haven't tried to read anyone's memory in the last 7 years. On the contrary, I've been shoving them away. Understandable. That's what Mandic wanted from you. What? She shrugged. I asked him why not concentrating on making I asked him why not concentrate on making that gift itself stronger. But he said that you were already so strong that it would be taking coals to Newcastle. It wasn't the strength you needed. It was control, to keep you sane and balanced. He wouldn't let any of us push you or try to take over your training. We all thought it was taking far too long, but he said you needed to heal and grow strong. She made a face. 7 years? It was an eternity. With everything that was going on with Prolland, we have to hope Mandic was right. I'm always right. Mandic was smiling as he came out of the cockpit. I won't even ask what you were discussing. It's immaterial. Get out of here, Renata. We're taking off in a few minutes. I'm going. She reached forward and kissed his cheek. Take care. I called Mark and told him to set a watch on Kamado to monitor his moves. After you killed his men in Flagstaff, he appears to crawled into a hole and disappeared. But the minute he sticks his head out of the ground, we'll be there. Maybe we'll be able to give you a warning if we find out he's headed this way. That would be helpful, Mandic said dryly. Not that that's not a surprise I'd welcome, and I've just made the arrangements we've discussed. Have that helicopter on the ground waiting. I will. Renata reached into her bag and turned to Allie. I brought you a present. She pulled out a Luger revolver and handed it to her butt first. Wow. I've used it many times. It's a fine weapon, and the balance is just right, but it shoots a little to the left. Remember that. Chekhov's gun tip. Not gun. Gun tip. Um. Anyway, thank you. Allie's hand closed on the pistol. The weapon looked cold and lethal, but it felt oddly warm to the touch. I'll remember. And Mandic hasn't seen fit to give me such a useful gift. However, he did give me a designer wardrobe. What? Renata glanced at Mandic. It was a distraction, Mandic said, and a gun would have been a shock to my delicate nervous system, Allie said, even though he taught me how to use one years ago. Your nerves are delicate right now, Mandic said bluntly, but I would have gotten you a weapon before we got to Tanzania. Prowland won't give a damn about your sensitive soul. Well, now you won't have to bother. She tucked the gun in her jacket pocket. And what plans have you and Renata made that you haven't told me about? I'm out of here. Renata True. Renata turned toward the door. You'll let me know when it's over, Mandic? As soon as I get the chance. I can wait. Don't take any risks. The next moment, she was running down the steps of the plane. When what's over? Allie asked. Buckle up. He sat down and fastened his seatbelt. I'll tell you once we're airborne. I'm not trying to keep anything from you. You could have fooled me. She buckled her seatbelt. Earlier today, you told me that I should go see Renata and make my plans. He smiled. I took that as permission. Now you're complaining? She had told him that, she thought, annoyed. She hadn't realized that she would feel so isolated and out of the loop when it happened. Yes. Well, at least you're not denying or making excuses. He leaned back in his seat as the plane started rolling down the runway, and that very contrary attitude makes me think that you're beginning to come back to normal. I don't know what normal is anymore. My normal was never like anyone else's. She glanced sideways at him as the plane began to lift off the ground. And neither was yours, according to Renata. It appears you were a bad boy and didn't obey the family rules. Guilty, but I always try to do what was best for the family. He met her gaze, and I never risked anyone's life with my own. Until now. His lips tightened. Until now. She could feel the force and tension in that brief reply. It caused a ripple of disturbance to run through her. She had learned a good deal about him tonight from Renata. She wasn't sure she wished to know this much. She hurriedly glanced away from him to the wisp of clouds drifting by the window. What helicopter were you talking about? We're not going directly to Dar es Salaam. I'm having the pilot land in the hills about 100 miles south of the city. We're going to be met by a helicopter flown by Dirk Thorne, one of Renata's agents. He'll take us to Telboa. He made a face. Renata knows I could fly the damn helicopter, but she wants Thorne as a backup in case of trouble. And another indication of Renata's protectiveness about Mandic, Allie thought. What's in Telboa? It's the area where Simon's ashes were scattered after Lee and Natalie had him cremated. That's why they wanted their ashes returned here to Tanzania, so that they could be with him. Ashes? Simon was cremated too? There wasn't much left to bury, he added grimly, and if they'd seen fit to do anything else, Lee and Natalie couldn't have been sure that Prowland wouldn't have dug up the remains and desecrated them. He was absolutely furious about everything connected to that night I took away his toy. He was foaming at the mouth and making wild threats when he heard about Simon's final arrangements. He tried to bribe the crematorium to tell him where they'd taken the ashes. Sick, Allie said. More than sick. Prowland's behavior bordered on being unhinged. Bordered? No, that is unhinged. It's okay. You can just say it. Simon wasn't safe from him even in death. Lee and Natalie made sure that their son was safe. They knew what a monster Prowland was, and they took precautions. And are we taking precautions? You said that no one could know about the funeral. That's why we're avoiding Dar es Salaam. As I told you, I've arranged for Lee and Natalie's ashes to be smuggled out of the embassy by James McKellar, one of the clerks. He'll be taking them to Talboa. We'll be there to meet him when he arrives. It seems obscene having to sneak around like this. It's a funeral, for God's sake. And Prowland has nothing to do with God. He's strictly at the other end of the spectrum. I know, she said wearily, and we'll make it right for Lee and Natalie. Where is this place? It's a very beautiful little cove on a large lake, he said gently. He handed her his phone and pointed to the tiny mark on the map. Talboa. Chapter 10. Talboa, Prowland. Amon Kobust said as he checked his GPS. It looks as if McKellar is headed for Lake Talboa. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I said Talboa. Lamau. Talboa. There's nothing else on this stretch of road. And you're certain that McKellar took the ashes? Of course I'm certain. Kobu realized his mistake when Prolin fell silent. Ah! Okay, so we are not safe. This is really fucking annoying to me, but whatever. The son of a bitch didn't tolerate any sign of arrogance or disrespect. He went on hurriedly. I've had a man watching the embassy for the past 24 hours. The two stainless steel containers that were in the storeroom of the embassy are now in McKellar's car. Father Elwin, the chaplain, left the embassy at noon today without saying where he was going. But no sign of Mandic or the woman? Not yet. But I'm sure we'll have Mandic in our sights soon. I don't want him in your sights, Prolin said with soft venom. I want him brought to me so I can tear his testicles out of his body. Lame. Loser. If you said heart, I'd be like, yes, this guy's a villain. Testicles, you're a pussy ass bitch. But whatever. Okay, anyway. You can kill the woman, but I want Mandic. And you'll have him. Are you sending me more men to help bring... You'll have to make do with your own men. You have weapons, even missiles. What more do you need? I'll send you reinforcements when you tell me that Telboa in McKellar's definite destination. Mandic has fooled us before. I won't be tricked again. He added mockingly, You're not afraid of facing Mandic by yourself, are you? He's such a gentle soul. More like a tiger. Oh shit! Happy 905, everybody. Thank you for your happy 905. It is appreciated as always. Tiger mention. And thank you for your happy 905 as well. Okay, here we go. It's odd that you should mention that glorious beast. You know I have a great fondness for tigers. You've seen the tiger I acquired from that poacher in India? Kobu tensed. You know I have. Yes, I thought you were present during his last feeding. I'm planning on using him in many more interesting and innovative ways. For instance, I've not been pleased with the performance of a little whore I took out of one of our houses in Madagascar. True, she's only 13, but she should be able to do what I wish without weeping and screaming. Don't you think that's true, Kobu? Ugh. Also, person was done with her phone call and I took it. Yes! Is it in the Discord? Discord. About to. Patiently awaiting. I forgot about Seal Lamp. Aw. So silly. That's a cute one. The ones I've done are typically like the diamonds are a lot closer together. Like the one you're doing. The one you're doing is so fucking silly. The way you guys do them makes a lot more sense. The one the way I do them, I do that by color. This specific one's for men. That makes sense. Okay. Anyway, sorry. We're back on our fucking grind. You better believe. Well, I would do mine by color, but it's too big to fit on a folder on my table. Fair enough. Yeah, the big ones are kind of annoying to do by color, but I'm super stubborn. It is my fatal flaw. Anyway, I have to pee. And I've only got 5 minutes before I need to run an ad, so I may as well um run it now. I will be right back. Everybody sit tight during the ad. Okay, sorry, I got distracted. No. No chorizo, what the fuck? That's fucked up. Thank you, it's good to be back. Oh my god, and your gum. Okay, it's all over. It's time to pack it up and call it a day. This is unrelated, but I was looking through my notes. You crock my world? That's so fucking funny. And it's like incomprehensible when it's so small. Like I had to hover over it to see what it actually was. It's like a little surprise. Okay, anyway, it's time to read this slop. Um, where were we? Oh, yes. Whatever you say. So I thought that I'd put the tiger cage next to the bed and tell her if she didn't please me that she'd join him. He chuckled. I believe that should arouse her enthusiasm, though I don't know if I can resist giving her that striped beauty even if she does please me. Can you imagine the carnage? The exquisite agony? He's such like a cartoon villain, like unreasonably evil that I'm having a tough time suspending my disbelief. But whatever. Kobu swallowed. Why are you telling me this, Prowland? Why, you mentioned a tiger. I thought you'd be interested. He paused. Just as I'm interested that we may have gotten close to Mandic after all these years. I just wanted you to know that if you screw up and let him get away, you'll have an intimate meeting with my tiger. I'll let you watch him toy with the whore the first night. The second night, I'll have you be his evening meal. Do you understand? We're not certain Mandic will be. He inhaled sharply. Yes, I understand, Prowland. He hung up. Shit. He wished he'd never told Prowland that McKellar could be on his way to meet Mandic with those canisters. Let someone else take the pressure. His palms were moist on the steering wheel as he guided the SUV over the bumpy dirt road. He reached for his phone to get his men moving from their encampment a good 30 miles away. Wouldn't wait for Prowland to send any more men. He couldn't take that chance if they got here too late. He'd also see if he could pick up a few men in the village on the way to Talboa. He knew of at least 4 bandits who operated out of this area. He could round up more if he dangled enough money at them. That was the smart thing to do. Thank you. It is good to be back. It was the only thing to do to be certain of survival. Have I missed any moistened lips? I don't think so. There have been a lot of twisted lips, but no moistened lips. I am sorry to report. But I'm happy you haven't missed any. That would have just been sad. It was the only thing to do to be certain of survival. He had to kill the woman and serve Mandic up to Prowland. Then he could relax and watch Mandic be the meal for Prowland's tiger. There it is. Is this book for children? Like, I'm sorry. Are you fucking for real? Feed him to his tiger. Shut the fuck up. Like, I'm actually so pissed off. I don't think so. Sometimes it feels like it is. It wouldn't be because there's sex mentioned quite a bit. But it feels so dumb. Oh my god. There it is. Mandic was looking out the window of the helicopter as it banked over the lake, but I don't see McKellar. But how do we know he's evil if he doesn't feed me outside? You know, that is an excellent point. I hadn't thought of that. The child rape didn't do it for me. I wouldn't have known. Anyway, there he is. Thorn, the pilot, was staring down at the crisscross of paths and the twisting dirt road that branched off from from the larger 2-lane rock road. I think he's coming up the road toward the lake. Mandic nodded, and he told Renata he'd be driving an SUV. He turned to Allie. What do you think? It's a beautiful place, isn't it? She nodded jerkily. She could see that it was lovely, but she was too tense to fully appreciate it. We'll be down in 2 minutes, the pilot said, and I shouldn't give you more than 30 minutes before I need to take off again. This isn't Prowland's territory, but he has eyes and ears everywhere. One phone call and he'd have the men streaming down here from the town, down here toward the town. 30 should be enough. Huh? They're literally going to do that. Do we not know or do we know? 30 should be enough. Oh, 30 minutes. And I shouldn't give you more than 30 minutes before I need to take off again. This isn't Prowlin territory, but he has eyes and ears everywhere. One phone call and he'd have men streaming down here toward the town. 30 should be enough. Allie shook his head as Allie opened her lips to protest. I told you that I'd get you to their funeral service. I didn't tell you how long you could stay. I'm not risking your neck. We'll make those minutes count. He looked down at the ground again. I can see someone getting out of another car parked down by the lake. I think it's Father Elwin. He conducted the service for Simon. I told McKellar to make arrangements with him to come and bless the ashes. Lee and Natalie always liked him. Allie had known Lee and Natalie were Catholic, but they had seldom attended church in Flagstaff. She had thought that they just didn't want to arouse interest or questions about her arrival in town. Then I'm glad you were able to make the arrangements with him. It will make everything seem more normal. As if anything could have any semblance of normalcy with this hideous game of hide and seek going on. I see a canoe down there on the blank. What is it doing there? We'll be going out on the lake to scatter the ashes. That's what they did with Simon's remains. So Prowland had no chance of recovering them? She asked grimly. That's right. Ugly. So terribly ugly. The helicopter had reached the ground, and Father Elman was walking toward them. Allie reached for the handle of the door. I want to at least have a word with the priest. Mandic nodded. I'm going to scout around a little to make sure it's safe. Then I'll go talk to McKellar and help him take out the canisters and put them in the canoe. 30 minutes, Thorne repeated. No more, Mandic. Right, but I won't cheat them. No, we can't do that. The air was sticky and warm, and Allie shrugged out of her jacket and left it on her seat as she opened the door to jump out of the helicopter. I hope everything goes well, ma'am. Thorne was there to help her, his hazel eyes shining with sympathy. God bless. Thank you. You're very kind. But she closed both Mandic and the pilot out as she walked toward Father Elwin. He was a man in his 60s, with gray hair and a tanned face that showed deep crow's feet around brown eyes that held only gentleness and sympathy. I'm Allie Gerard. Lee and Natalie Wahlberg were family to me. Thank you for coming, Father. I know there must be an element of risk for you. If I were afraid of risk, I would have left this country a long time ago. He took her hand and shook it. But the need is here, and so is the satisfaction of supplying that need. Natalie and Lee were good people, and I'm sorry for your loss, Miss Gerard, but you must remember it's only the loss of the ones left behind. They're now in the hands of the angels with their son Simon. I'm trying to remember. Her eyes were stinging with tears as she looked up at him. But there's so much evil. It's very difficult, Father. Do as I do. Serve the need. Forgive those who trespass against you. She shook her head. I'm sorry. I'm not that generous, and I can't forgive those who trespassed against Lee and Natalie. Then I'll pray for you as well as the Wahlbergs. He took her arm. Now let's go to the boat. I see Mr. Mandic frowning at us. He was leading her toward the canoe. He also has trouble with forgiveness, but he's an extraordinary man, and you'll be safe with him. Just cling to him as you would Lee and Natalie. Cling to him? I don't think so, Father. She smiled shakily. But thank you for talking to me. I don't know much about religion. My only experience is once a year having my mother dress me up in fancy clothes and take me to Easter Mass. Okay. It was more like a show than a service, but I wanted to feel that death wasn't the end for Lee and Natalie. It's not the end. After we say goodbye to them, let's arrange to meet and have a long talk. She POV, you are being converted to Catholicism. What the hell? I'd like that, Father, but I may be very busy for the next couple weeks. Survival, revenge, killing. Very busy. Let me get in touch with you. She gazed out over the crystal blue water, the verdant trees hanging low, the flamboyant blossoms exploding with pink and orchid color. Sure. It's so beautiful here. The gates of heaven. What? Natalie Wahlberg told me she wanted Simon's ashes to be scattered at a place as close to the gates of heaven as I could find. I'd done missionary work in this area and remembered it. The gates of heaven, she repeated. I like that. It seems a particularly holy place to me. We'll row through those waters, and I'll say a prayer, and we'll stream the ashes into that beautiful crystal water. Perhaps they'll join with their Simons. Perhaps. I hope so. But it doesn't matter, he repeated as they reached the canoe. This is only the gates of heaven. They're already inside and together. Get in the canoe, Mandic said curtly. Sorry, Father. I have to get Miss Gerard out of here as soon as possible. I've checked out the area as much as I can, and it seems safe, but everything could change in minutes. He swung Allie into the canoe and turned to the sandy-haired young man standing beside him. McKellar, you've done your job. Get back in your SUV and get out of here. McKellar nodded. Right. He turned to Allie and said gently, My condolences, ma'am. He looked to be only in his middle 20s, and his brown eyes were warm and kind. I wish I could stay. I'll pray for them. Thank you. And I'll also pray for you. Then he was moving toward the SUV. I'll report in to Renata on the way back to the embassy and tell her so far so good, Mandic. Fine. Mandic jumped into the canoe and took the paddle. Father? Coming. Father was already in the canoe. Father Elwin was already in the canoe and settling himself beside the two shiny stainless canisters. Good to see you, Mr. Mandic. We always seem to meet at these regrettable occasions. But you say they're not really sad occasions. Mandic was dipping the oar into the water. I'm afraid you've never been able to convince me. Give me time, the priest smiled. Miss Gerard is also a skeptic, but she's more open than you. Because she desperately wants to believe you've caught her at a vulnerable moment. All our moments on this earth are vulnerable. It's just a matter of degree. He unscrewed the first canister, then the other. Then he bowed his head. Now we shall pray for the eternal souls of these two fine... Now shall we pray for the two... whatever. Shall we pray for the souls? Whatever. Allie watched the mist of ash... What the fuck? Why do we skip here? This is the same moment. We haven't fucking moved. We're still on the boat. Oh my god. Ellie watched the mist of ash with 2 feet on the boat, I guess. We had to time skip. It was gonna take too long. I'm fucking flabbergasted. Allie watched the mist of ash drift into the clear water, lie on the surface for an instant, then disappear. The priest's words came back to her. Maybe their ashes will merge with those of their son Simon. This happened literally last fucking page. This is giving the same energy as a TV show doing a montage of a moment that had happened like maybe 2 minutes prior. I hate it when it happens in TV, and I hate it when it happens in books, apparently, as well. It's not hard to, but whatever. I hope it's true. I hope you're with him now. I know you're each with each other. God, I would make sure you stayed together. I'm feeling a little lost now. I know you're going to be happy with him, but will it be alright if I talk to you now and then? Peace, serenity, love. Maybe that's an answer. I don't think that's wishful thinking. Okay, then that's what I'll do. I promise I won't bother you too often. The ashes were gone now, vanished beneath the clear lake waters. Allie. Father Elwin was smiling at her. Remember, it's only their bodies at the gate of heaven. Their souls have gone ahead. His face was lit with loving kindness. It's true, believe it. They're together. Oh my god! And you can be sure that these souls will see his head exploded! What the fuck? What? They fucking jump scared me in a book? What the hell? She screamed as brain matter flew in all directions. I guess I should have known it was coming, but I was being convinced that we were gonna get out of this. To be honest with you. Oh yeah, that happens. Thank you. We are no longer being converted to Catholicism. We can't anymore. He fucking died. She screamed as brain matter flew in all directions. Down! Mandic threw down his oar and pushed her to the bottom of the canoe. A bullet struck the side of the boat. The priest had slumped to the side and was lying over the edge of the canoe. It wasn't happening. It couldn't be happening. His head exploding. Just like the night her father had shot Jokeman in the head. Gates of heaven. Gates of heaven. A barrage... Oh my god. A barrage of shots were being rained on them from the bank. She could see 9 or 10 men firing rifles and handguns. We've got to get off this canoe. We're sitting targets. Mandic began to rock the boat. When I tilt it, slide into the water and head for the far shore. I'll be with you. But the priest would not be with them. Dead. Gates of heaven. Now! She slid into the icy water. A bullet struck the water next to her. She went beneath the water and began swimming. Mandic, where was he? Damn, only one person can hit a target. Apparently so. There he was, just to the side. He was surfacing, heading for the far shore as he told her to do. He shouldn't have surfaced. She could see the bullets striking on all sides of him. But then he was underwater. For some reason, I read that as underwear, and it was very funny. Anyway, beside her, gesturing in the opposite direction, he wanted her to go toward the bank from where their attackers had been firing. Why? Because he'd been leading those men in a false direction and wanted to double back to escape them? Would it work? No way of knowing. Keep swimming. Take as few breaths as possible. She'd always been a strong swimmer. I know. Honestly, if they were good enough shots, they could have gotten all three of them in like one bit. Whatever. Keep going. Gates of heaven. Head exploding. Brain matter flying. Oh my god, this is fucking annoying. Father Elwyn smiling at her with loving kindness. Keep swimming. She could see the bank up ahead. Mandic had already reached the bank and was waiting, treading water. She warily surfaced beside him. Do ashes sink? I'm gonna Google it. Do ashes sink in water? They eventually sink. That's fucking crazy. Because bodies float. I don't know why I'm being so like, we need to be accurate about this. I was just kind of curious. Because if bodies float, would ashes, the burnt version of a body, float too? And they're so light you'd think they would, but. Well, anyway. She could see the bank up ahead. Mandic had already reached the bank and was waiting, treading water. She warily surfaced beside him. No shooters on this bank. They must have been drawn to the far shore. What's happening? She gasped. Who are they? Noise and crashing brush on the far shore. The tall man in the camouflage uniform is Monkobu, one of Parlin's officers. I don't know the rest. Mandic's hands were on her waist, preparing to lift her. Get out and run into the brush, Mandic said. Fast. Keep low. I'll be behind you. We'll circle around toward the helicopter. She nodded, and the next instant she was on the bank, heading for the brush. It was only seconds until she was out of sight and in the thick shrubbery. Run, Mandic said curtly. Low and fast. I'll be covering you. She knew he had a gun, but he'd been in the water. Would it still fire? She wasn't going to question him. Run. Brush was scraping her face and arms. Her shoes were wet and muddy before she'd gone 100 yards. She couldn't hear Mandic behind her. Keep running. She was almost there. A bullet splintered the wood of the tree next to her, but the bullet came from in front of her, not behind. Not from the far shore, where there was screams and shouts. Why would it? Down, Allie! It was Mandic, but he'd somehow managed to circle to get in front of her. He was only yards from the helicopter. Down! She fell to the ground. Another bullet whistled by her shoulder. She rolled to one side, into the shrubs, as she saw the shooter. It was a brown-skinned man in loose jeans with a bare tattooed chest. He was standing beside the helicopter, his white teeth gleaming as he let off another round of shots. Dick was dodging bullets himself as he weaved in and out to avoid them. Then he was on top of the shooter, his knife slicing at the man's throat. But there was another man in a yellow shirt coming out from the other side of the copter toward the struggling figures with a pistol in his hand. No! She instinctively jumped to her feet. She couldn't stay here hiding. Gun. She had to have a gun. Where was... She slipped Renata's gun into her jacket pocket, and that jacket was in the helicopter. She ran through the brush and around around the other side of the helicopter. More bullets. She glanced over her shoulder to see the man Dick had pulled the body of the man he'd knifed over his body to protect his body. Oh my god. Just to protect himself, dog. I will edit for you. Just put me in, coach. God damn. She protected his body from the bullets of the new threat. God, let her get to her jacket. Don't let there be any more of Kobu's men blocking her way. She almost stumbled over the body of Thorn, the pilot, who was huddled beside the door. His eyes were staring straight ahead. He had a bullet in his forehead. Don't look at him. Don't feel anger or sadness. Get the gun. The next instant, she had the Luger in her hand. She moved around the helicopter. The shooter's back was to her, and he was moving forward toward Mandic, his gun still spitting bullets. Stop him from firing at Mandic. Don't think about anything else but keeping Mandic alive. No, now was also the time to think about Thorn, the pilot who had been murdered by that shooter. Now was the time to remember the priest's kind smile before they shot his head off. She started firing. She saw blood blossoms spread on the back of the man's yellow shirt. The man whirled, his gun aimed at her. She kept firing. She blew off the hand holding his pistol. He screamed. She took another step forward. Gates of heaven. Gates of heaven. She aimed carefully. She could see the fear in his eyes. Gates of heaven. She shot him in the heart. She watched him fall to the ground. Allie. Mandic was on his feet. The next moment, he was beside her, grabbing her arm. Come on, we have to get out of here. Thorn is dead, she said numbly as he pulled her toward the door of the helicopter. They killed him. I was afraid they had. Kobu would have had to plug that exit. He opened the door and lifted her inside the copter, but it was safer to chance it than risk being run down on foot. He started the engine, and the rotors whirled. It was lucky they only assigned 2 men to guard. A bullet splintered the helicopter windshield. Shit! Allie could see Kobu and the other men pouring back around the edge of the lake toward them. The helicopter lifted jerkily. Another bullet struck the door. Let's hope they don't hit the gas tank, Mandic said grimly, as they climbed through the torrent of bullets. Stop him, Kobu was screaming frantically as he ran toward the helicopter. Do you know what you're doing to me? You fools, stop him! But it was too late. They were over the trees and out of range. Mandic waited until he'd gained more altitude before he turned to Allie. Are you okay? No, she said jerkily, but I've not been shot, if that's what you mean. She looked at him. You have blood on your chin. Not my blood. He wiped his chin with his shirt sleeve. It happens when you cut someone's throat. Does it? She glanced away from him. I wouldn't know. I've never done that. I know. He muttered a curse as he banked the helicopter. And you've never killed a man until today. No, I've never done that either, she said dully. I thought he was going to kill you, and I had to stop him. And you did, he said roughly. And just look at you. It's nearly made a basket case of you. No, it hasn't. She reached up and rubbed her temple. I can't let that happen. That would destroy me. They killed that priest. They killed Thorn. They tried to turn something beautiful and sacred into pure ugliness. They tried to kill you, Mandic. It had to stop. I had to stop it. And you did, Mandic said quietly. If you think it was the right thing to do, then give yourself a little time to answer all the whys. I wish to hell it hadn't happened, but it did. He took her hand and gently squeezed it, and I'm grateful that you think my neck was worth the saving. It had to stop, she whispered. She pulled her hand away and looked out the window. We've lost altitude. Why are we flying so low? What's that road down there? It's the road that leads to Dar es Salaam. His lips thinned. Bro, drive the helicopter. He's busy. I sent McKellar back to the embassy. I'm just checking to make sure he wasn't on Kobu's hit list. She tensed. She suddenly felt cold. Not again. Her eyes were straining on the snake-like road below them. Phone him. I will, but I'd feel better if I saw... Smoke! She saw the gray cloud of smoke before she saw the fire. Around that next turn. Is it the SUV? I can't tell. The vehicle was completely engulfed in flames, but it wouldn't be too much of a coincidence. But it would be too much of a coincidence if it wasn't. Land, she said. He might still be alive. I can't risk you. Kobo's men could still be down there. I'll phone Renata to have one of her people in the area go check and see. No, that night might not be in time. Cruise low and see if you can see any threat. Her hands clenched. But regardless, we're going to go down there and see if we can save him. No more deaths, Mandic. Allie, the chances are that he's already... Did you hear me? No more deaths. His eyes were blazing into his. You wouldn't even think twice if I wasn't with you. You know you wouldn't. But because you think I'm so important because of that damn ledger, you won't do it. His lips tightened. Would it be too much to believe that it's not all because of the ledger? Then he was suddenly smiling recklessly. I guess it would, considering what I've put you through today. So what the hell? He banked the helicopter. I feel lucky. Something has to go right today. Let's go see if McKellar survived that bonfire. Mandic did 2 turns over the wreckage. Oh my god! Another fucking time skip? Or line break for no fucking reason. before he landed several yards up the road from the burning SUV. Stay close, Mantic said. I want you within an arm's distance from me. Thick smoke, heat, acrid chemicals, smothering. Allie's eyes were stinging as she got closer to the pile of burning metal. The gas tank had already blown, and the heat was almost overpowering. Dear God, how could anyone survive this? The SUV was taken out by a short-range missile. What the fuck? Mantic was examining the wreckage. Koba must have wanted to make a clean sweep of everything connected with the funeral service. He's always been desperate to please Praland. He stared thoughtfully at the flames. That missile might have been be a good thing. What the fuck? Okay. I've had enough of your bitch ass. Might have been be a good thing. How? If the SUV exploded immediately, Kobo's men wouldn't be likely to attack the vehicle or Michaela after the missile hit. They'd assume their job was done, and they'd be right. Not if McKellar caught sight of them before they loosened their missile. He was kneeling on the dirt road, examining the swerving trucks on the dirt road. I was kneeling on the road, examining the dirt. Okay, I'll let that one slide. Not if he jumped out on one of those curves. It looks like no one in the SUV was in control for several yards along the stretch. Hope. Please let it be true. Then where is he? I have no idea, but judging by the distance McKellar traveled on the road before the explosion, Koba must have sent a team of men to follow McKellar even when we went out on the lake. We've got to hope that Koba believed the report he received that McKellar was dead and didn't try to take him captive. He added bitterly. Koba knows how much Praland loves to toy with prisoners. He might think that he'd be excused for not bringing him bigger game. She remembered Kobu's frantic expression as he'd been running toward them. He seemed desperate. I'm sure he is. He was moving toward the side of the road. Stay close. I'll cover this side of the road and— Ellie! It's quicker if we split up. She was already moving to the other side of the steep incline on the opposite side of the road. Even if he didn't die in that explosion, we don't know how badly he could be hurt. Maybe they shot him before. She trailed off as she slipped and slid down the incline. I'll call out if I see him. She could almost feel Mandic's impatience and exasperation. Too bad. So much for staying close. She doesn't know what that means. She's busy. Couldn't he see that she had to do it? If there was the slightest chance that McKellar was alive, she had to move fast. They had to find him. No more deaths. But she could see no sign of life. No crumpled body, no McKellar struggling to crawl up the incline. She moved toward the edge of the jungle. Nothing there either. Allie. Here, she answered Mandic. Did you find him? No, get up here, damn it. I'm going back to where the road curves. There's so much deep shrubbery and palms down here, he could be anywhere. Not in the inferno in that SUV, she prayed. Let him have had his chance. What? Okay. Let her find him. But even if he was hurt, he might be able to hear her. McKellar! Nothing. No sound. I'm on my way down, Mandic called. I've checked out the other side of the road and incline. He has to be on this side or nowhere. She paid no attention as she tore through the palms. McKellar! No answer. Or was there? She stopped to listen. Nothing. But there had been a sound. She knew it. And it came again. Low. More like a grunt than a call for help. Where? To the left, up closer to the road, where the grass was high and thick. McKellar! She tore up the incline, pushing through the tall grass. We're here! We're coming! Let me— Then she saw him. Blood. McKellar's face was bruised and bloody. His clothes were almost torn from his body from the sharpness of the rocks and the edge of the high grasses. His shoulder was twisted at an odd angle. His eyes were closed, and they didn't open as she ran forward to drop her to her knees beside him. No, she said fiercely. Open your eyes, McKellar. I heard you. I know I heard you. You're not going to die. Do you hear me? It's not going to happen. Allie. Mandic was suddenly there, dropping down beside her. Easy. Let me take a look at him. I heard him, Mandic. That's what brought me here. He's going to be— McKellar's eyes were slowly opening. They focused on Mandic. Missile. I know. He was examining the wound on McKellar's temple. You jumped? It seemed to be the right thing to do. McKellar's gaze went to Allie. I heard you calling. I don't think I was even conscious, but you seemed to want so badly for me to answer. She nodded. I had to find you. She turned to Mandic. We have to get him out of here. What if Kobu's men come back? Can we move him to the helicopter? It appears we're going to do it, whether we should or not. He looked at McKellar. I'm going to try and cause you as little pain as possible. I think your arm is broken and it may be out of the socket. You probably have a concussion. We'll take care of all that we can. All of that when we can, but we've got to get you out of here. His hand went to McKellar's neck. It'll just be a little twinge. I don't know what— McKellar's head slumped to one side. He was unconscious. I'll need you to help, Allie. Mandic was already levering, lifting McKellar's limp body. I want to damage him as little as possible, so I have to bear most of the weight of his broken arm and shoulder on this side of his body. Get on the other side and support him. It's going to be a hell of a job getting him up this incline. She was already on McKellar's other side, draping his arm over her shoulders, limp, very heavy, and Mandic was bearing most of his weight. I can help more. Let me do it. Too late. He was dragging McKellar up the incline. I don't want to readjust. Just keep up with me. And that was more than enough challenge, she found. She had to keep her footing and try to bear what weight Mandic would allow her. It took 15 minutes to get up to level road and another 20 to reach the helicopter. She was panting as she helped him arrange McKellar in the rear seat and fasten the seatbelt. She shuddered as she looked at that crooked, broken shoulder. That's going to be agonizing. How long will it be out? Probably not long enough. He was getting into the pilot's seat. I can't take him back to the embassy. He's a target now. We just have to keep prowling, thinking that Kobu managed to take him out. She fastened her seatbelt. So where do we take him? Sargol. It's a village on the coast where Renata has set up a clinic. Safe? Yes. It's entirely handled by the family. We had have Whoa. We had to have had a place in this country that would be safe from Praland. His lips thinned. There's been a need in the last 9 years. That's where we took those children rescued. But McKellar will wake up before we get there? Yes, at least 30 or 40 minutes before we get to the village. He lifted off. Nothing I can do about it. I couldn't take a chance on putting him out any longer. I can't be certain he doesn't have a concussion. You did what you could. She leaned back in the seat, trying to ward off the sudden exhaustion. They didn't kill him. That's all that's important. He's alive. We'll make sure he stays alive. And you did more than your part to guarantee that, Allie, he asked quietly. Can you rest and trust me to make sure of that from now on? You know I can make all this go away for you. No, don't you dare do that. He didn't understand. Death was all around them. She couldn't let go, at least until McKellar was safe. Or maybe he did understand, because he turned away and looked straight ahead. I'm familiar with every corner of that mind of yours. It's going to be very painful for you when you see how much McKellar is going to suffer. If you change your mind, let me know. I won't change my mind. I know, he said grimly, as he turned east toward the coast. That would be too much to expect, and that only means I'll have to watch both of you going through hell. Chapter 11. When they landed at Sargol, Vortex. See, okay, that was a good cut. We were in a helicopter, we were pissing around, we had a little bit of time where we weren't going to do anything, and then we cut and we do it at a chapter. There you go. Good job, book. Good job. It's the least I could fucking ask for. How deep are we? Pretty deep. They landed at Sargol. Vortex with a gurney ran out to the helicopter pad the minute it touched down. Get him to surgery. Mandic jumped out of the helicopter and ran around to where they were trying to gently get McKellar out of the seat. Is Megan here? She's on her way. She's in surgery, one of the techs said. She had a gunshot wound, too. McKellar screamed. You're hurting him. Allie was out of the helicopter, her eyes blazing. Be careful. Can't you see that his shoulder is... They see, Mandic said. He's safe now. About how to the quite an amount. Because how much did you read the first time? 60 some odd pages? I don't know how many we've been getting through each stream. But it'll probably be one more stream, I think. Crossing fingers. Just because I really need to get this returned to the library. Holy shit. Anyway. They see, Mandic said. He's safe now, Allie. They know what they're doing. You can let him go. They hurt him. He was in such terrible pain. He had been moaning and gasping for the last 30 minutes, and every minute had been a burning wound for Allie. And now he was still in agony. How can I be sure that they know what they're doing? Because I say they do. A woman in surgical blues was walking toward her. I chose every one of these techs and watched their training. She turned and motioned for the techs to take McKellar into the clinic. Take x-rays, then get him ready for surgery. Give him a shot of morphine for the pain. I love when they're just saying that shit. My bookmark is at 148 last stream. Oh, new woman, I forgot about her. No way! She very well could die, so don't get too excited. Oh, right. I was saying I love how they're just saying a bunch of bullshit. She turned back to Allie. I'm Dr. Megan Blair. I'll be taking care of the patient. She looked at Mandic. How was he injured, Mandic? He jumped out of a speeding SUV and rolled down a steep incline. He was out when Allie found him. I thought maybe a concussion beside the obvious injury. I had to transport him immediately and I couldn't be careful. That's par for the course with most of the patients I get here, she said warily. She turned back to Allie. He was unconscious? No, I heard him. I know I heard him. Mandic shrugged. Possible. I didn't hear him. Or it could have been something else. She wanted to find him very much. He smiled faintly. Even McKellar said as if he felt he even McKellar said he felt as if he had to answer her. What difference does it make? Allie asked. He is here, and you have to make him better. He has to live, Dr. Blair. Megan. Her eyes narrowed on Allie's face. Both you and Mandic look as if you've just gone through a war. How do you feel, Allie? I'm fine, just fine. It's McKellar you have to worry about. Megan smiled gently. Then I better go do my job, hadn't I? I'm a very good doctor, Allie. You can trust me. I'll let you know as soon as I make my examination. He means a great deal to you? He can't die. I won't have him die too. Megan's expression changed to thoughtfulness as she studied Allie. She glanced at Mandic. I'll be busy with your friend, McKellar. I believe I'll have to leave everything else in your hands. He nodded. I'll need ammunition. Get that examination to me right away. She nodded. You can wait in my office. I won't be needing it while I'm in surgery. She turned and hurried across the grounds after the text. I think she'll help him. Allie's gaze followed Megan until she disappeared into the clinic. She seems kind. She rubbed her temple. But I guess that doesn't matter. How good is she, Mandic? Very good. A fine surgeon, and she never gives up. She could practice anywhere in the world, but Renata convinced her to stay here. Is she one of the Devana's family? Yes, though she didn't realize it until she was already a practicing MD. He took her elbow and guided her toward the clinic. Come on, we'll go to Megan's office to wait. She said she'd be quick. And she will. He was hurting so terribly. He'll have had his pain shot by now. She wouldn't allow the x-rays without it. He opened the door of the clinic, then an oak door immediately to the left. Sit down. He pushed her into a brown leather chair against the wall. I'll get you a cup of coffee. Megan always keeps a pot brewing. She shook her head. Okay. He sat down beside her. Then we'll just wait. She sat very straight, her spine rigid. Don't let go. 5 minutes passed. 10. 15. Megan suddenly popped her head into the office. No serious damage. I need to go to the bathroom and I'm hungry and I saw the time, so I don't know if I'll be back before you end. So bye and night night. Just kiss me not. Okay. Night night. Have fun in the bathroom. 15. Oh, right. No serious damage, minor concussion, broken arm and shoulder. But I can put him back together, and he'll only have a few aches when it rains. She looked meaningfully at Mandic. Now I have to get into surgery. Do your job. I don't want to face another problem when I come out. She smiled at Megan. McKellar will be fine, I promise. The door closed behind her. Allie breathed a profound sigh of relief. Thank God. Yes, he answered. And Allie Gerard, he smiled. And Megan, who has just sternly reminded me of my duty. What duty? She looked at him in alarm. She said that McKellar is going to be fine, wasn't that? My job isn't McKellar, he interrupted. She'll take care of him. She's worried about you. She shouldn't be worried about me. I'm fine. I told her I was fine. But she's a good doctor and excellent at seeing through bullshit. His lips thinned. You're sitting there so straight you look as if you have a poker in your back. You're exhausted. You're torn apart, and you killed your first man today, but you won't let go. I'm fine. Let go, Allie. Shut up, Mandic. She crossed her arms over her chest and stared at the landscape print on the wall over his shoulder. Natalie had painted a landscape something like that a few years ago. Only her painting was much better. Gates of heaven. The priest's brains exploding, his body slumping to the side of Clenu. I'm not going to shut up. Then I won't listen to you. Her breath was coming in short pants. Control it. She mustn't lose control. If she did, she'd know if she didn't know if she'd ever be able to get it back. I'm just going to sit here and wait until Megan gets McKellar out of surgery. I can't let you do that, he said quietly. I have to help you let go. Doctor's orders. Stop interfering. Her gaze swung back to his face. And don't you play any of your tricks on me. No tricks. He reached out and pulled her to her feet. I'm just going to help you give yourself permission to let yourself do what you won't let me do. Talk to me. What the fuck was that, bro? That was some crazy shit. He pulled her close, and his hand cupped the back of her neck. For God's sake, he said roughly, you feel as if you're made of crystal that could break in a million pieces. I won't break. No, you won't. But you're afraid that you will. That's why you won't let go. His lips were pressed to her ear. Ew. Get the fuck away from me. And his words came with soft force. But I watched you today, and I know what you are. You went through hell at Telboa, and God knows what hideous memories Kobu managed to stir in you. But you never quit. You kept with me all the way. His lips brushed at her temple. No, you went past me. Death. The priest. Thorn. So many deaths, all around us. Oh, death all around us, sorry, whatever. And you killed a man who might have killed me. Yes, I thought I'd hate it. I didn't. I just wanted to make sure there would be no more deaths. I'm grateful that it was my neck you saved to demonstrate that belief. But you may feel differently later. I don't think so. I told the priest that if I I told the priest that I didn't know if I could forgive the people who trespassed against Lee and Natalie. She was beginning to shiver, and she instinctively slid her arms around him to embrace his warmth. Trespass? They killed them. No one has the right to kill someone else. Okay, but we're forgiving ourselves for doing it. Right. Moral consistency. Not if they're good and kind like Lee and Natalie. Not if they're like Father Elwyn, who only wanted to help, not hurt. And it goes on, doesn't it? Yes, until you stop it. And that's killing too. She looked up into his face. Why? She was starting to shake, waves and waves of violent trembling. She had to hold on to him to keep from falling. It goes on and on. Not only the killing, but the ugliness, the desecration. I can't let it happen anymore. You saved McKellar. Hell, you saved me. That's enough for today. We'll work on the rest of the world tomorrow. He lifted her in his arms and carried her into the adjoining examination room. Now you're going to lie here and pretend today was a bad memory you have to block. I'll never be able to block it. I don't want to block it. People died, and I have to do something. He moved down to lie beside her. Just for an hour. You need to heal. I don't want to do it for you. He held her so tight that she felt as if she were being absorbed into his body. Go blank. You can't do anything while you're shaking like this. Doesn't that make sense? Yes. She nestled closer so that she could feel that strength. But I don't know if I can. You can do anything. I told you. I watched you today. Liar. Everything was moving too fast for you to. Then I felt you. Every movement you made seemed part of me. This is annoying. Um this is stupid and dumb and I'm irritated. I love reading books for fun as a treat. Uh His fingers were tangled in her hair, just as it is right now. His lips brushed her temple. Can't you feel it too? She did feel it. The shaking was beginning to subside, and she was only aware of the bonding, the sensation of being part of his body, part of his mind. It was so much stronger than it had been years ago, but she had to be sure that she still had control through this comfort that was close to salvation. No tricks? He pulled her even closer. He whispered, absolutely no tricks, Allie. Mandic heard Megan come in. Come? Sorry, that was a low hanging fruit because this is all that's highlighted. Which I find very funny. Into the outer office over 2 hours later. He carefully shifted away from Allie and got off the table. She had been sleeping for over an hour, but she needed more. He covered her with a blanket draped over the chair and moved quietly toward the door. Megan was at the desk writing up her notes and glanced up as he came into the office. Mission accomplished? It's not that simple. McKellar? My job wasn't that simple either, but I did what I set out to do. She glanced at the door. Rough day for her? The roughest. I thought so. She got up from the desk and went to the coffee bar, shell-shocked. She poured 2 cups of coffee and brought them back and handed him one. Renata told me that all our hopes are riding on Allie. Not all, but he took a drink of coffee, but a hell of a lot. She's not going to be much good if she goes into a tailspin. Prowland will eat her alive. No, he won't, Mandic said harshly. I'd let Prowland keep that ledger another 10 years before I'd let anything happen to her. Megan gave a low whistle. Renata said that she thought you should have given Allie to her. Are you getting a little too involved? Judging by today, she was magnificent, Mandic said curtly. I couldn't have asked for anything else from her. If you'd been there, you would have thought the same thing. If you say so. She sat down and lifted her cup to her lips. I'm tired of patching up people like McKellar. Those kids I had to treat nearly broke my heart. Prolland has to be stopped. That's what Allie said. The killing has to stop. His lips twisted. She went through a trial by fire today. I think you would literally die if you took a drink every time they used this phrase. Like, she moistened her lips is pretty fucking bad, but his lips twisted, and it's not even just, like, the phrase lips twisted gets used for both of them, for both Allie and Mandic, but Mandic, it's used at least double the frequency. It's bad. But anyway, she went through a trial by fire today. It made everything much clearer to her. The fire touched you too, Megan said. You're hurting. It's bad. You're hurting, Mandic. He shrugged. I knew it was coming from the beginning, but I put the play in motion, and now I can't stop it even if I wanted to. He met Megan's eyes. I did all I could with Allie, but she could use someone to talk to whom she can trust. And that isn't you? We have a history, but it's complicated. I can see how it would be. She nodded. I'll be there when she wakes up. We'll see how it goes. She sat down at her desk again. Now get out of here. Go to the bunkhouse and get a shower, and a few hours sleep yourself. You look like hell. Allie doesn't need any reminders of what the two of you went through. As you command. Oh, 10 p.m. Which means that we are finished. And I'm going to move my camera back up to where it's supposed to be. If I can. Okay? A good sign to be sure. Aha. Oh, right. Let me get that facing forward for you. And then I have to plug her back in. Lost her pocket thesaurus after those lines on the pages go. True. Australian mode deactivated. I fear that's the funniest fucking thing you could possibly have said there. Damn. How do you plug this fucking thing in? Okay, thank you. Damn. Okay. Perfect. Because my chair is a little high. So. Okay, anyway. Australian mode deactivated. Literally so goddamn funny. Okay. Anyway. I was thinking about rating out, but if it's hard, I'm not going to. No. Maybe, no. It is hard and I won't do it. Nugget is on and I know he's on, but, I don't know that I can commit myself to speaking to another streamer right now. I feel like I have to this is gonna be really, like, autistic of me to say, but I feel like I have to have a plan first. Like, a really rock solid, like, I'm gonna raid consistently. I feel like there's a lot of housekeeping labor that I need to do before I can get back into the, into the grind set. You know what I mean? I've been gone for so many, like, months. I've been super inconsistent for over a year. I need to lock in. But I do have a really good plan for next week. We are going to start playing Mass Effect. I'm excited to do that. And then I figured on Tuesday we'll play hardcore mode Minecraft, and then on Friday we will do Mass Effect. So it's something new and interesting. And then I know for a fact. Yeah, okay. We Play stream was finished fucking ages ago. And I would like to be able to get back on that. And I had a really funny idea. on how to make that interesting. So I will set that up. Mass Effect Friday. Exactly. All up here. I low key, for some reason, I wish there were a day of the week that started with M. Wait! In a different language, it's oh wait, Monday. It's fucking Monday. Monday starts with M. It's all up here. Anyway, but we're not playing Mass Effect on Monday, so Mass Effect Friday works for me. Anyway, yikes. Um, so that's the plan for next week. Uh, it's also art fight next month, which is fairly lucrative for me in terms of like having people to raid, because then you can raid into the people who are doing art fight, which makes art raids a lot easier, because sometimes people who do art are boring. But a lot of the time you find cool people who are doing art fight, because art fight is cool. Ooh, I should crack open art fight actually, because they probably have released the theme. Ooh. It's a three-way, which I think is stupid, honestly. The three are comedy, mystery, tragedy. And well, and now, if you haven't, I have shared with them with you again, so it all works out. Um, I obviously have to be on team comedy. Even though tragedy is my favorite color, I have to be comedy. Like, it's simply the law. Let me get into that team. And, like, low-key, so I have a couple of buddies in... Okay. Join team comedy. Thank you so much. I can change my team as often as I like until July 1st. But yeah, I'll be comedy. I'll have to be careful. Oh no! It's okay, I don't actually care. Um, she, my classmate, who's also on Art Fight, has picked team comedy as well. We can just friendly fire. I kind of don't give a shit. I'll do one friendly fire for her, and then we'll see what happens from there. Anyway, I'd like to do some art fight prep, so I will do that before July. I think I'd like to solidify at minimum 2 character sheets. That might be lofty because we've only got a week or so. A week and some change. So we'll have to see. But I feel like 2 feels reasonable. Any more than that is probably psychotic. I'd like to make a new character. I have a really good idea for one. Or I have, I have a little something something. But that wouldn't really be in the spirit, because I remember I made one with chat a couple years ago, and we could get back into that if everyone is interested. I'm not sure, but it's getting late, so maybe we'll talk about it on Monday. When I'll be doing the art fight stuff anyway. Because I figured I would put Twitch graphics on the back burner for now. Because I have a lot of time at work, so I can just work on them while I'm at work. Hopefully. We'll see. I don't feel super confident, but I'll try my best. Because I really, really would like. Oh yeah, Pirate Guy and his daughter. Yes, that was shark bait or whatever the fuck I called him. All up in the dog. Actually, I'm gonna pull him back out. I'm not gonna show him on stream because I think I hate the way he looks. To be honest with you. Art fight, art characters. There he is. His name is in fact Sharkbait, which is so sick. I don't even remember what he looked like. I never finished him. That's so funny. But he looks kind of good, honestly. I need to learn how to draw clothes. I'm really bad at it. I'll keep that in mind in the future. I'll do like fabric studies or something. I don't know. Or I just need to look up references. Ew. I'll do that. I love remembering. So true, me too. It's a miracle every time I do. Anyway, we will talk more about that on Monday when I will be here to do art fight stuff. Maybe I'll do some kind of bit. On Tuesday I was really bored because no one was here, so I need to figure out how to make it more interesting and engaging for myself because I'm trying to get back in the groove, right? But if no one's here, I'm like, I could be doing something else. And also sometimes it makes me sad. Um which that's on me. Um I can't control who is here. But I don't know. I'll need to I was not on Tuesday. I missed you. I'm sorry. I am really trying to get back in the groove because on Monday my internet was all fucked up and it was like I had gotten back at 3:30 a from Italy. I'd gotten back on at 3:30 a.m. on Sunday or Sunday morning, I think. And then so I slept all day Sunday pretty much. Like I slept until like noon, and then I was up for a couple of hours, got my hair cut, which I kind of hate. But that's beside the point. Um, got my hair cut and then promptly went back to bed at like 3:30. And then just didn't get back up. I did a little bit at like 10 and then went back to bed and then didn't wake up until like 6. And then I was still tired on Monday. So it was fine that I didn't stream it, but I was, wasn't great on Tuesday. I had work on Tuesday. Ugh. Like I had to go back to work pretty quick. But anyway, hopefully, crossing fingers, I will be back consistently. I really don't have any excuse not to. It's just hard to get back in the groove and it's hard to keep myself motivated to keep going because this is a very large time commitment. Like I didn't realize it before because when I was doing it before it was like this is just what I do. But now with the way school is, it is a lot bigger of a time sink than it used to be. It is summer though, so I really don't have an excuse. Like it's not really a time sink when you're not doing anything, but still it's hard to kind of shift that mindset. And this is something that I care about quite a bit, and it's been such a long-standing project, you could say, for me, that I am not keen on giving it up. I put so much fucking work into this goddamn broadcast that is ridiculous. Like I'm not quitting now, but it's just very difficult to kind of shift the my mindset, and also things admittedly emotionally have not been super great for me these past couple of years, and that's definitely not helping. So um I it's a lot more work than it used to be, is I guess what I'm trying to say. I will try to do my best to be here. It's on my theme journal, which feels a little pathetic to me, but that's okay. So I get a point every time I stream. So some motivation there. But anyway, yes, I will be here on Monday to draw and maybe talk about yay points, so true. And maybe talk about my trip a little if anyone cares to hear about it. I wrote a whole journal. So I remember every single little thing. But yeah, so we'll have interesting topics to discuss. Or there's always the Toy Story franchise, with which I have some fucking thoughts. Maybe I'll watch the trailer and get back. So that's two things we can talk about on Monday. The Toy Story 5 trailer and my trip. So yes. Anyway, glad we got to talk a little bit after. I know it wasn't super necessary, but I always like the housekeeping post-stream conversation, especially since I haven't talked to chat in a hot minute. Um, why is there a fifth one? And yay trip. Yay trip. Fifth. What? Oh. Sorry, just locked in. I had blissfully, very briefly forgotten what I had just said. Yes, but we will debate this. No, you're good, you're good. That was my bad. I lived in ignorant bliss for all of 5 fucking seconds because a lot of the time I will simply forget that it even exists until I'm confronted with the hellish knowledge. When's it even coming out? July? Like 19th or some shit? And I know I'm gonna. Okay, but Monday. We will return to this Monday. I will see everybody then. Thanks for the brief chat after stream. It was nice. Godspeed there. I love you.